All right. Hello. Hi. Let me connect with mine. Other computer. All right. Welcome. All right. Can I hear somebody say something to see if it's loud enough?
Hello.
There we go.
Oh, hi.
Good. Hi there. Hello. Let me finish turning on there we go. Good. Now everything is open and I can see everyone. Here we go. All right. So who's here? Let's see. Hi, Gerard. I see Rachel and Mary Ellen twice. Aaron, Nick, Dan, Peggy, Catalina, Susan, Dan again, and Saul. Awesome. Welcome back, everyone, to class. Can you all head over to the chat and give a little hi there, good morning, good afternoon. It's not morning, good afternoon. Whatever it is that you can do or say would be nice. And I am looking at the hold on, because I had to restart my computer on this side was beginning to have issues, so I had to reset it before I can share it. So I'm going over to the Padlet and I will give you the link so you can all head to the Padlet too. Hello. Trying to share my screen, but it's not sharing. Why? Okay, so there's the link to the Padlet. Everyone go to the chat and say hi, and also please go to the Padlet. And now I'm going to share my screen. And this Padlet does not seem like it's been updated though. There it is. Updating it. Okay, wonderful. So if anyone did the work last week and forgot to post it, or if you didn't do it because you missed the class, then remember you need to watch the recordings so that you can post the work. All right, Erin? Yeah, I don't see your stuff. I see you saying, yeah. Who else didn't post stuff in here? I'm seeing quite a bit. I'm seeing the masking, the last project that we did where we put
Diana, the Padlet link takes us to Photoshop Spring 2024 Friday Zoom.
all right, so let me give you the right link. Sorry about that. Copy this link to clipboard. Let me delete that one and give you this link. Summer 2024. Thank you. There we go. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. I had the old, I gave you the wrong one. Perfect. Now you should be in the right one. All right. So remember that the only way I have to see what you're doing and how you're doing, and if there's questions or things like that, would be to have you post things in here. I appreciate that if you don't have the pictures available over here, or if you do, but you want to practice more, Peggy actually went and did the same process of masking out, in this case, the interior of this doorway, and then she placed a landscape picture, I guess, behind it, and you can see it through. Now, these things that we're doing, by the way, are not meant to look real, right? Necessarily when you put not that they're not meant to be real. Unless you work really hard on it, you can't make it look real. Last week we were left with the fact that everything was fading into out of focus and our flower was still really in focus. So I'm happy to show you that to complete it, but I actually want to teach you something new today. So I'm not 100% sure that should be the focus of today. It's a filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you the other stuff I want to teach you today. And then towards the end of class, we're going to open up the filters and I'm going to show you how to do the filter where you get to change the focus, but it's kind of like I need to do something a bit, it's a bit more of an advanced move, and I don't want to bog us down in that advanced move without first having a chance to really go through what we need to go through today. Okay. Yesterday, I kind of, people who were in my class yesterday, it was probably one of the worst classes I remember ever teaching, because I began with something that was really complicated, and yeah, I just got bogged down in details instead of actually getting to the stuff I wanted to do. So I don't want to make that same mistake. So anyway, that said, the only thing in something like this, if you're trying to make it look real, you're stepping out from this area. Now, it would seem to me this looks like you're stepping into somewhere, like this is an outside door and you're stepping in somewhere, then it'll be hard to make it look real because you don't step into a landscape. Had it been the other way around, you could make it look real by working on the lighting on both sides. But on the other hand, a lot of collaging or compositing is made to make things look unreal. And so this would be perfect in that sense, and you would still want to, so it depends on your goal, whether you need to work on the lighting or not. If you want it to look real, like when we were trying to make this look as if it's in the pad, then this is the problem. Like we need to fade it out. But in this case, maybe we're in a story where you're stepping out into, fairyland or whatever. So then it's perfect. So it's not that something is right or wrong. You always need to consider what's the story you're trying to tell. And so everything that you do with your modifying, arranging, changing, everything we're learning is so that we can get nearer to telling the right story that we're trying to tell to the person who's watching, right? Who's looking at it. I always said that a photo, and again, I kind of keep opening this one from Peggy, because if this were, say, in a magazine and it were illustrating how I hiked whatever mountain, it would be weird. But if this were in a magazine illustrating, where my brain goes at dream time or something like, what I'm trying to say is there's things you do that work depending on what their final need is. And that's what you need to learn to modify your work for, to really tell the right story. A landscape can look like it's sunset, it can look like it's sunrise, or it can look like it's midday, and it's the same photo. It's just what you did with the lighting, right? So that's the kind of stuff I need you to consider at first. What I want to do with this photo? What am I trying to tell the viewer about this photo? And then that kind of informs what modifications you're going to make on the photo. All right. Thank you guys for posting the stuff that you've been working on. I think that there were a couple of questions, but some other people posted stuff, so I lost. Where was it that someone had a question about this, something that wasn't working? Does anyone remember? I think one of you guys had asked something. No, it looks like you guys are just describing it, which, by the way, thank you so much for doing that, where you go in and you describe the whole process. And that really helps people who weren't here, who are watching the recording, but maybe want a bit more. Then you can just, read all of these great stuff. And the other person who posted something that was not part of the assignment, but was using the same things is kind of interesting, Moni, because not only did she change the background, before we had like a flat ocean, she put in a sunset background, which is another of the photos that we did. But then she also put a picture of coffee in her hand, and I'm amazed you did it. So it looks very realistic. I'm not saying it looks exactly real, but we're very, very close to having it look real. And this was just the hand. I don't know if you guys remember this photo. That was she's just holding his belly, I guess. He's not holding anything. And you managed to put in a coffee mug in there. And basically, if you guys go, well, how did you do this? Exactly what we just did. If you've learned how to do what we did yesterday and you begin applying it to things, that's what this is. Here's the background. Here's the original photo. She put a mask on and so you see the new sky. Okay, that's what we did, right? And then over here, she put 2 other layers where she brought in the whole mug, and then she masked it to the shape of her hand. over here, masking her hand. So it's 3 masks get you this. And then down here, she added some shadows. So see this little shadow right there to make it look a little bit more realistic? She added a couple of shadows, the shadow shirt and the shadow of this, just to make it look, because otherwise her hand was flat on it and you couldn't hold a mug that's flat. So by adding a bit of shadow, the hand begins to look as if it might be separate from the shirt. So this is amazing that you went these are the kind of things that you go a step further to make it happen. And oh, Moni isn't here. Here I'm like, you know, like about money, but she's not here. She haven't tell her to listen to the recording. So anyway, good job on that. And yeah, so let's move forward and open up today's. Let's open up more to this computer, and we're going to open Bridge. We're going to open Bridge to start with. Before I continue, any questions about, I mean, we only did masking once, so I'm sure there's questions how to continue with masking. But is there anything in particular for sure that you need to know or ask about this assignment before we begin completely new? Yep, Dan?
So just real quick on Moni's one, that last one you were just talking about, does I was trying to remember, does the mask order play a part in that?
Yes.
Like where those are positioned in that stack up?
Yeah, because imagine if the layer that had, here, let me share this again. 1 second. There we go. And then back over here, I'm on my other computer now. So imagine that, where did I leave it? Here. So imagine that if the hand, which is the mask on the hand, were to be under down here under the sunset, you just wouldn't see it, right? So the sunset is in the background, the guy, the couple is in the foreground, and then the mug has to be under the hand. If you had the hand over the mug, you would see the handle over her hands. And instead, by having it under, she made a new copy of the hand. So you can't, if she were here, I'd ask her to show you, but if you turn these eye drops off, here she has a hand holding his belly. Over here, she made a copy of that, put it up here again. And then in this case, this masked everything else out, and she didn't need to have all that. She could have had just the hand, but she masked everything else all out except for the hand. And so now this hand is standing in front of this hand. When she arrives, I'll ask her to open this up so you guys can see it. Otherwise, I can kind of recreate it somewhere, but it would take me longer to recreate it than having her open it. But yes, position of what masks and what shows really does matter. And many times position of adjustment layers and things that we're going to do also matter because they do alter how you're going to see something. Let me head over to Bridge to the class files and trying to make sure, do both of these go to the same spot? That's in my downloads, that's in my doc, this one. Okay, just trying to see if in one of these I have the work I did before and the other one I might not. So let me clarify. Here's where I did here's where I was working when I did the selection practice. Okay, because I have this folder in 2 different places and I just wanted to make sure that I see them all. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go with this one. Okay. A quick conversation for this. Let's open this one that says layers random object, just so that we can practice a little bit of what your question was. So layers random object, and double click on that one. Once you have it open, please give me a yes with a little green check mark. If you don't give me a yes, I'm assuming that you're having a hard time finding it, so I might help you find it or ask you. So please, if you haven't given me a yes yet, make sure to say yes or no if you can't find it, and I'll help you. So this is random objects that are already in a certain position. And the one that's on top is literally gonna show up above the rest. So I'm gonna put my mouse over here on layer 6, and I'm gonna move this taxi around. And there's no way I can get it under the moon unless I grab the layer and I drag it down here and I put it under the moon. And so now the taxi is able to be under the moon. Does that make sense, you guys? Then I'm going to grab the puppy, which is now under the moon and under the taxi. And I'm going to grab the puppy and bring it all the way to the top. So this blue line that keeps going with me, when I let go, that means that now the puppy is top of the heap. All right. So positioning of layers matters, because if this puppy is supposed to be playing with the moon as a ball, then the moon probably has to be in front of the puppy. And I'm just guessing, and I'm going to put it over here. And then you can have it be in front and the guy is kicking the ball. I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just showing you reasons why you might want to have something in front of the other, right? So this could be the ball that the dog is punting with his nose, right? But then it has to be on top and it can't be underneath. So this is very important. The only thing that's a problem here is if I bring this one that says background up to the top, because suddenly I don't see the rest. And the reason I don't see the rest is because this is not cut out like the rest of them. This actually is a photograph where these heads are on top of a white background. So it looks white. So we kind of think it's not there. We didn't really even notice that it was there, but that is in existence. If I were to turn this eyeball off and not see it, that is transparency. Okay. So this puppy is truly cut out. The moon is cut out and the car is cut out, but the legs are not cut out. So if I put it here, now I see the legs and the puppy. If I put it here, I see the legs, the puppy, and the moon. Does that make sense? Where it is truly matters. Now, before I continue, any questions about this? Hopefully you've all been able to move everything up and down and around and layers. And if it's all good, then I'll show you something else about this. All good? All right. So then, first of all, notice that puppy says puppy, background says background. How about we give names to the other two? I'm not sure if I had you name the layers yet. So let's hover over the name layer 6, double click, and then call this one car. Hit return. Click it, not on the whole layer. If you double click on the layer, you get something else happening. I'm going to cancel. Exactly on the word layer 5, double click, and then call this one moon. Oh, not mon, but double click again. And moon. Put a little icon for that. Anyway, so that's just the way to know what's there, because sometimes what you have is so tiny. Like on the one that Moni was showing, the hand was so tiny you couldn't tell it was a hand, but she wrote hand. Right? And let me see if I can head back in there really quickly. Had she not written hand mask, I would look at this and go, what's that one? And this one says glass mask, because both of them are so tiny that this could have been the hand. And that, I mean, who knows? So it's good to label your stuff. And then here she had 3 layers that look identical, and it could have said layer 1, 2, and 3. But she wrote glass shadow bottom, glass shadow shirt, glass shirt, shadow shirt copy. And then when you need to modify one, you know which one to open. So labeling things, especially when they look identical, like these 3, then it's really important. Okay. So labeling matters when you go beyond 1 or 2 things. All right. So now let's go ahead and turn the eyeballs off of the puppy and the moon and the car. And let's select the background. And I'm going to move this a little bit because my Zoom stuff is hiding. And let me move bridge open too. I have things in the way of my stuff, so I need to move them around. Okay. All right. So let's select the background, which instead of calling it background, let's double click on it and call it roller skates or legs or whatever you want to call it. And what we want to do is we want to also cut it out from its background. Remember last class, let me go up here to Bridge. I taught you here in this file, we did a lot of selection practice, that kind of stuff. If you have it there, if you have it available somewhere, open it up again. If you can't find it, go to open and then new and recent, and you might find it here in the list of recent that you might have, if you remember what you called it, you might find it there. If perchance when you saved it, you didn't save it in the right spot. Otherwise, if you have it, open it up. And it really doesn't matter if you didn't completely do it. If you don't find the original one, just say file new and or command N, and that'll give you a new file, and then just say create and start with something blank. If you have something already there, you don't need to start with something blank. But if you do not have this one, then go ahead and start with something blank. I just want to remind you really quickly of, so I'm going to turn on the eyeballs off. And I'm going to create a new layer. Who remembers how to create a new layer? Here we had 3 layers. How did we create a new layer? These eyeballs are to see or not see them, but they exist. If I want a new one on top or of this,
Plus,
the plus sign, which I find way down here, this is where we added the mask and other stuff. There's that little plus sign right next to the little teeny trash can, and there's a new layer. And yes, it's transparent. The reason I'm seeing white is because my background is white, remember? And so that's easier to see the work, but truly the layer is transparent. Okay, and I just wanted to show you this to remember how to create a new layer, because we're going to use new layers. Now, for those of you who have nothing because you opened a new one, just make a little square with the rectangle right there. And this is for people who have nothing, okay? The ones who open a new file because you never found it. So just grab this rectangle, make a new square, and then we're going to fill it with this little paint bucket with black, for example. So this is just so that everyone has something for new people. But if you, new people who can't find this one. But if you do have one of these available, right, the rest of you guys, then just we're going to use one of the ones that we already have. So I'm going to use this one. But if I am seeing it, doesn't mean I can work on it. I also have to click on it, select the layer to start working on it. Okay, so it's not just enough to see it. If I'm selecting this one that I'm not seeing, but I wanted to work on this one that I'm seeing and I start working on it, that's no good. I need to select the layer that I want to work on. Select that one and see it. Now, let's go over here and do a little tiny bit of memory of because we're going to use this a lot today. We're going to go to the rectangular marquee tool, which is the first one. And if you clicked and dragged and what you see is a circle, it's because you left it there last week in that one. So then let's go and click on the rectangle. And all I wanted you to do right now is to remember that if you select something right now, and I just selected that little bit on this layer, and I hit my delete key, I'm gonna get rid of that little chunk. Okay, so that was create a selection and hit delete. Good. But what if I wanted a slightly more complicated selection to delete? Then I would have to select this and then press shift. Oh, sorry, I'm going to move this out of the way again. And I'm going to click on these 3 little dots and tell it to pin the position down there because otherwise it bugs me. Okay, so I select, I press shift, and then I select again. And now I am joining my selection. And then with the shift still pressed, I select again. And now that's the chunk I'm going to take out. So shift, it's to continue to add to my selection. Okay. If I were to now hit delete, that works, but I don't want to hit delete yet. So, and I do want you to do it, but I also want you to remember how to undo that as if you didn't want to do that, which was what? What do I do to undo what I just did?
Z.
Control Z.
Control or Command Z. It's like, phew, I wasn't done. I wasn't ready to delete. because I wanted to delete this belly part of it, but I don't know how to delete this little piece of it. So how I get rid of this little bit, if all I wanted to do is delete this bunch? How do I, and let me move in a bit more. I selected, and truly this is what I want to get rid of, but not this. So how do I get rid of this, you guys? Quiet group, speak up, even if it's the wrong answer. So I add to the selection by holding on to shift, right? So shift, I added to the selection.
Is
Wow.
it alt?
Alt or option. Now I hold on Alt or option and I say I did not want this. So now I'm taking away from the selection. Does that make sense? But it's kind of hard to take away from the selection with this tool because, you know, it's so easy to do like that and boom, I took away a little bit of the belly now. And I really, I'm a client at the belly, whatever this thing, but I really wanted that. So then I use shift and I add it again, but it's hard to do because I have a rectangular marquee tool and it's just not, you know, I'm going to keep doing minus and minus and it's still going to not really do the job, right? Because I can't do a good job of with the rectangle tool following this. So this is when the lasso tool becomes wonderful. So I'm going to click and hold the lasso tool. Last week we used the polygonal because we had the straight lines of the iPad. Now we're going to click on the handmade lasso tool, the top one. And now, given that I took away too much and I still want to pick that up, and let me practice it first. If I want to hold on to shift and I'm going to add a piece like that, shift and add a piece like that. Oh, here's Moni. She's arriving. So holding the shift key, I'm adding, and holding the alt or option, I take away. I take away. I take away. So now that I've practiced it, I can go in here and go, well, this needs to be added to the selection. So I'm going to hold on shift and I'm going to do my best to circle this little area only. And if I run out of mouse or space or I can't make it to the tip, don't worry, close that up. I've added it and now I go back and I add this little bit and there I close it. And now I have what I want, right? And now I go like that. And when I do a little bit like that, it's like, oh, didn't want that. So I hold down the option key. I surround it again and it goes away again. I surround it again and it goes away. So if what I wanted was to do something like that, or if I wanted to add to that, option to take away, shift to add. Option or alt to take away, shift to add. I don't care what part of yours you get. I want you to remember the option to take away, shift to add, because now we're going to go use it on our image. Now, if I were to delete, then yeah, that I would have left the belly part, but not the what I call the leg part. Okay. If this worked, if you remembered, if you refreshed how to add and take away, and it's all good, give me let me clear this answer. Give me a yes. If you need a little bit more of a reminder or a hands-on support, then give me a no. Moni's here. And just so you know, your ears must have been ringing because I spent quite a bit of time demoing your thing. So while people are saying yes or no, I was just demoing this. And so if you want to go back, you know, 10 minutes or 15 minutes later in the recording, you'll hear all of the stuff I said. But right now, all I wanted to say is someone asked a really good question about, does it matter the position of these masks and these layers? And I was demoing it on one of my files, but if you have a chance to open this file and then when you have a minute to share and then, yeah, drag this down or up and you'll see how it really changes. That would be a really instructional.
Okay, that just takes me a second.
Yeah, no hurry at all. Just whenever you're ready and have it done. Just so I can share a little bit how these shadows work and these things work. But to hear all the praises, you would have to go hear
That's okay.
All right.
And by the way, it's the first time I did that.
I know, I'm so proud. Guys, she did nothing a few classes ago, okay? This is where if you take the class a few times, you move beyond the basics and you start doing stuff that today I don't expect you to do. but you keep working at it and yeah, good stuff. All right.
Okay, so I have it up if you
Saul, who's
wanted
here
to.
too, Saul down here and Peggy, who had the door, they've taken this class a bunch of times, and Susan over there. Some of you guys have been here enough that Gerard, that you're like beyond the basics, in which case I expect you to do beyond the basics like Moni and Peggy did, because I know you're here, I know you're present, and I expect from you guys beyond the basics. All right.
So if you want to see it, I have it up.
Okay, let me first help Rebecca, because I want her to be able to do this. And then while everyone is busy doing this, because Rachel and Rebecca need help, then I can have you share. So Rebecca, what's up? And do you need to share your screen, or is this a question?
Well, it's kind of a question when you were saying that we changed the tool to the elliptical, and then you said you do this and then you hit delete, and I'm like, that didn't work for
Okay.
me.
All right, so hit share your screen. It's probably a couple of steps like selecting the right layer, but share your screen so that I can show you. All right, so hold on. When the screen is small, I need to move it to this window so I can see it better. Here we go. All right, so well, do it again. Make a selection. All right, good. And now when you hit the delete, what do you guys think? I'm not gonna answer. Everyone, look at what she's demoing and tell me, because if she is the delete, it's not working. Can you all tell me what's wrong? I want everyone to learn from these things, not just
Should
me
I
telling you.
stop the ants from moving?
Nope. Nope.
Oh, she's not on the background.
Yeah, you're not on the background layer. Look at your layers. You're on the layer 1. And your
Okay,
block is the background layer. And now hit delete, and will it work?
it's asking.
You're filling. So say cancel. And just hit your delete key on your keyboard. Is it working?
No,
Say cancel. Look at your layer that's background right now, and what else is happening to that layer? Just look.
it's locked.
It's locked. Okay, unlock it. Now hit your delete key. Boom.
Aha.
Okay.
It made a hole.
The only problem is that your black layer had been flattened with your white layer. So when you tried to take a bit of black out, notice that you also took white, and there you have the hole. Because if you look at your layer, it wasn't black on transparent, it was black on white. So you took a bit of both. Versus if you now select your gray layer, and now go up to one of your gray pieces and take a little piece of the gray. Yeah, and then hit delete from that.
Ah,
Only took gray out, not the white, because that layer is floating. Okay.
okay.
So awesome. And I really wanted you to demo that, because I knew that what was happening is you weren't selecting the layer, but people who did it right the first time, they don't know next time I'm not around, and they don't know why it's not working. So many times doing something wrong is the best way to learn, because then you go, oh, that's true. I wasn't selecting the layer. People who do it right the first time because they're following the instructions really well, you need to learn to think about when it doesn't work, which is why I love sharing these things, not to point you to your mistake, but so everyone sees that selected layer really matters. Yes, Rachel, want to share your screen, or let's see what's up there?
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Yeah. And by the way, Rachel, I tend to call Rebecca Rachel all the time. And then Rachel is finally here. I don't know why I call Rebecca Rachel, but now Rachel is actually here. So this time I really meant Rachel, not Rebecca. All right, because Rebecca's learned to answer to Rachel. When I say Rachel, she knows I'm talking to her. Okay. Yeah. So what's happening here?
Okay, so I think I just lost. I'm not sure. So I was able to get out chunks, but then I wanted to do the part where the next part after this, which I guess you were gonna like
So
pick out.
since you already hit the delete key, it's hard because now that's been done. Go ahead and undo Command Z one time. Oh, you have it. I'm looking at your list, at your history that they have there on the left.
Yeah.
Go a few, in the bottom, go a few steps up to the clear. Go from the bottom up. Bottom is the last thing you did. Lasso, go to clear, and now one up. One more up. There we go. So here you haven't cleared it yet. Good. So by the way, guys, you know how her selection has a bounding box around it, which I don't have? That's a choice up there. And the choices, you can have the bounding box on or not up in the very top where it says auto select. I think there's a choice there for you to not have the bounding, but look at the gears on the very far right of that choice. Look at the very far right of that layer going. Show transform controls. If you show layer bounds on hover, expand your layer, go. So click on the show transform controls, the top choice, and turn it off. There you go. So now you don't have those there because it's one thing too many visually to have all that stuff going on. Okay. So now that you haven't deleted yet, now go grab the selection tool again because you left it. So the selection tool would be one under that one. Yep. All right. And now, if you don't click and hold, you grab the one that's there. It's just a single click. If you click and hold, it's because you want to change tool, right? So if you just single click, that's it. Now you have the rectangular one, so you don't need to do anything more. Come back down to your selection now. And holding the shift key, make another little drag. There you're adding, and that you had done.
Yeah.
Now, hold down the option key. And see how now your mouse has a little minus under it? And now make a little box. And you took that little, so only a little bit of your box overlapped. So that's a little bit that you took out, right?
Okay.
So try another one. And it's that little bottom piece. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All the rest of the marching ants do nothing because there wasn't a selection. It's only the little bit that was overlapping that worked.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
So
thank-
then you can now hit the delete key and all of that will delete. If you want to start a new one, go ahead and hit your delete key.
I think I hit delete. Do I need to be up
No,
here?
no,
again?
no. You don't need to be anywhere else, just where you are. You're gonna hit your delete key on your keyboard. There we
Oh.
go. Okay, now get rid of the selection, everyone, when you're done with us, either by Command D or hitting deselect, and now go to your lasso tool and practice this with your lasso tool because we're going to need a lasso tool for this job that we're doing today. So select your lasso tool and now go ahead and make a circle around. And remember, you need to, connect it. Good. And now hold on the shift and connect another circle to that. Good. And now get something gone. So how do you do option? No, not delete, undo that. I'm sorry. I meant to say Command Z. Don't forget the command. Okay. Now, when I meant take something away, I meant from the selection. So for that, you need to press on what key?
Is it the option?
Yeah. So now with the option and you have a lasso tool, now try to get something off from that selection.
From here?
Yeah. So that's a little, go to the round, bigger round part of it. Just take some of that roundness off. Yeah, but no, you didn't hit the undo key. So undo, Command Z. Because that was without not holding the shift or option, then it disappears. So now hold the option and now draw a little circle and there you go. You bit a little chunk out. Okay. So practice that a little bit more times. Then when you hit select, you're going to deselect and that's fine. Right now I want to practice. I don't care about the actual deleting of the black. I'm trying to remind you how to add or take away from a selection with a lasso tool, which we did only a little bit of because now we're going to go do that in the other file. Yes, Dan?
I had a note come up when I was just doing the rectangle tool
Mhm.
for the selection. It said couldn't find an object to subtract. There might not be enough edge contrast or the object might be too small.
You
So
probably have a feather on your tool. Go ahead and share your screen. Because in order to show you this, I really need you guys to see it. And that's why I want everyone to see. Okay, so now go ahead and say, first of all, read what's happening. Okay, don't say okay yet. He
read
has a
the message.
selection. Yeah, no, I'm telling everyone. See, he has a selection. I'm telling you, look at the things that are right or wrong. He has a selection. And if you look at his layers, he's selecting the right layer, the black layer. So technically of everything I've taught you up until now, this should be working, right?
Yes.
But here it's saying I couldn't find an object to subtract. There might not be enough edge contracts, or the object might be too small. The object isn't small, we can see it. So go ahead and say okay, and I'll tell you what's happening. Say okay. Okay, now, if you go look at your selection tool, oh, because you're not in the selection tool. I was going to show you something else, but you're not in the lasso selection tool. The tool that you're using,
I was here.
one that needs a subject matter. So right above is the lasso. That's the lasso tool, okay? And now that's the one you should be using right now to take away or subtract or add.
So what if you go back to like originally when we were using the
In this class, I have not used that one yet. I haven't shown you how to use that one yet. The object,
was-
the one that you were just using. You mean
oh, what
rectangle?
was the other one we were using? This one?
Yeah, the rectangle up there.
Okay, so I could go back up and use that then.
Yeah.
Just
but
do
I want
another
you to
marquee
practice
like
the
we were doing.
lasso.
Okay,
But my
so it was
goal-
the wrong tool, is
It
what
was
you're
the wrong
saying.
tool.
Okay, thank you.
There's another reason you could have gotten that answer, and it was a feather on your lasso, but no, I'm seeing that you don't have a feather. It was because you were on the wrong tool. But
Okay.
I'm trying to get you to practice lasso, not rectangle, and that's why I'm trying to head everyone down to lasso, because for what we're gonna do next, you're gonna need to be comfy with a lasso, okay? So go and grab
Thanks.
that and go and add and take away from the lasso. All right, if you're all comfy with the adding and taking away from the lasso, I shall move back to my other computer and we shall continue. Can you please share your screen for a second now, Moni, before we start again? Okay, so if you can make it, in your screen big enough so that you can see what she's talking about, that's great. Yeah, that way the layers go up there. Okay, so go ahead and can you turn all the eyeballs, all of them off? Click and drag down. There we go. Now turn from the bottom up, turn on the background. Then that one, now stop there. This is what we did in class the other day. We put in a photo, we made a mask. Remember, like we had the photo with the iPad and we made a hole in it. So in this case, what she did is instead of making a hole on something inside, she made a hole on the fact that she kept the people and she put black or deleted the sky. So what we're seeing through is the background sky. Go ahead and turn the eyeball on and off of the background now. Background, bottom. See, that was what the mask did. And thus you only see what's behind it, and what's behind it is the background. Okay, so now good, turn on the background again. So that one's pretty clear. Then skip the shadows and go all the way to the top and turn on the glass mask. Now, you guys look at the glass. She put the glass on top of the hand, right? But if she had it under, go ahead and grab your glass mask and put it under the couple mask way at the bottom. If she had it under, you don't see the glass. It's hidden, right? So undo that. She needed to put the glass on top, but now she needs to make a copy of the hand and put just the hand on top, right? So what she did is she copied the whole couple. You could have had just the hand. She copied the whole couple again. Go ahead and put the eyeball on that. And then can you do shift click on your mask so you see the mask of the top disappear? Shift click. So that's what she put on top. She put the whole thing again on top, right? But then she only wanted the hand because it needs to be the glass needed to be sandwiched between bottom hand and top hand. So she put the whole thing on top again, and then she made a new mask where the only thing you see through is the hand. So now go ahead and shift click again on your mask. And there you go. So this top thing is only showing the hand. If you want to now turn the bottom two off, please. There you go. This is the only thing. And now turn the glass mask off too. This is it. This is the only thing of the top layer that's showing now. Does that make sense? Pretty cool. So now it's just the same thing you all know by now, but it needs practice. It's practice and thinking it through, going where needs to go on top of what. Now turn on the glass mask again. So now we have the hand on top, the glass underneath, and then at the very bottom, the actual couple with the new sky. Okay. Now, if any of those moves, like go grab the hand mask right now layer, grab it from the hand mat, no, now what I want to go grab it, not from the pixels, grab it from the word hand mask. Yeah. And now go to your move tool for a second. I want you to move the mask itself, move tool up on top, V or move tool. Yeah. Now go ahead and go to this person's hand and just, no, you're on the lasso tool. V or so, yeah, move to that one. Yeah. Good. Now go put your mouse on top of her hand and then just drag. So her hand is now not in sync with the bottom photo, and there it is. She's carrying a hand around. You see that? So they need to stay in sync. So now if you do Command Z to undo that, there it is. The hand's in the right spot again. So you can't tell there's a hand on top, but there truly is a floating hand that's completely on top of that. All right. So very cool. And then she made the shadows right there, and those are vector layers. And I haven't taught you how to do that, so you wouldn't know how to do that yet. So I'm going to just let that explanation pass. And thank you so much, Moni. That was such a good image to show the possibilities of what you can do with just what you know, which is basically masking. That you don't know the shadows yet, but you do know how to make masks. It's just a creative positioning of the masks. Cool. All right. Thanks, Moni. I can't hear you. So if you're talking to me, you're muted.
I just wanted to catch up with you guys. So what are you starting something new? So I'll just start with you there.
Right now, since the original question was about layers, we've opened the multiple layers where there's a roller skate, a dog, and a moon. Go open that file. Nick.
I was just curious, you mentioned how she made a copy of the whole image and then did a mask of the hand.
Yeah. So
it seems like that would be easier than just making a copy, and then so how else would you have done that than the way
I would have just copied only the hand. So I'm going to do a little tiny example of that right now. So hold on to that in case ow. Good thing my coffee is in one of those unspillable, because I just spilled my coffee. Phew, I always have it off my desk, and I tell everyone to have it off my desk, and I happen to put it next to my mouse. That's a really bad idea. Sorry. So let me see what Dan's question is, and then I'll share my screen and I'll show you the answer to your question, Nick. So yeah, Dan.
So it looked like there was a hand on top of a hand. Another way, could you have just cut around the mug and left the hand the way it was? Like,
no, because if you cut around the mug, unless you do a good job of cutting the handle out too,
yeah,
so that looks like the hands are in the finger. So if
yeah,
you could, it's usually you do the easiest one. If the easiest one is to make the mask of the mug, also cut the handle out, that might have worked. But I think you also had to hide some fingers, right? Like the fingertips. Yeah. So I think you had to work on the top one to hide fingertips, because otherwise your hand was like that and you didn't see this. You only saw this much when she was holding the mug. So she had to delete this too. So either way, everyone has their way of doing it. Yes, it could have worked with just the one, but with two, whatever does the job. You'll find that every single person who works on these things will do things their own way. And that's why you need to practice, and find your own way. So, this here, I told you to open right now is this one, Moni, because we're going to do some stuff there, but I was having them go back to this one. If you're asking what we're doing, to remember how to do add and take away, So, but you know how to do that. So that's all. Now, let me show you next question. So let's say that what I want to do here is, and I'm trying to see if I have enough material here to show you. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know that I have enough material to do this, but say that I want it to look like the shoe is on, like she's kicking the, like the rollers don't exist. Like I want it to just be a shoe. You know what I mean? If I put the moon on top, and I can either choose now to hide the moon, right? I can put a mask, and I'm going to do that really quickly as one choice. I can, and I'm going to do this really, really abruptly, you guys. I can go ahead and choose to like there, hide the moon. Imagine that I did a good job so that it looks like she's stepping on it, or I could leave that there. I could go to the original shoe down here, copy it. So if you pay attention, now I have a copy of the shoe. I'll put it above the moon. See that? This is what she did. She made a copy of the whole thing. I would have done just a copy of the hand like I just did. And then over here, I put a mask. And over here, I began to carefully, and I'm going to use this little guy here to do it quickly. I'm going to just be as quick as I can. And then I can go over here and hide that. And I didn't do it completely well, but there you go. I can do a little bit more still and a little bit more. Anyway, so now I did it the other way around with a little bit on top, but this is because this is another shoe that what I did is I took the roller skirts off it. If I undo, it's on top, right? So both ways would have worked. It neither is right or wrong. It's just two ways of doing it. And the way she did it is this way, by adding something on top and then taking away the bit that you don't want, which is all the white stuff. And I know this doesn't make too much sense, but it's the best example I could give you on this one little set of pieces that we have here. And so it's all about masking. Okay. In this case, the moon is complete. I put in a mask and I took away what part I don't want to see. And that's what you were suggesting, Dan, right? And I'm not doing a perfect job. And that's one way. And the other way is to just put another copy and copy in that. And sometimes in this case, either one would have worked. Same with hers, either one would have worked. But sometimes you need to know both systems, because for some things, either one isn't what works. And again, in this case, this would have really mattered. If this was underneath, then it wouldn't be on top of the moon. It has to be on top for it to look like it's up top. Okay. I'm going to undo everything I just did because it was just a sample. I'm going to go back to where we all are, which is, I go to history and.
Hey, Diana, just a quick question.
Yeah.
What was the keystrokes to, I understand you lassoed the shoe, or you selected the shoe to copy it up to that upper layer?
I did a Command J.
Okay, thank you.
J is a copy. And for now, everyone, we're going to all do it. So I'm just going to answer his question, but everyone just, just be. All right. So let me go back to here. See, I went back to, I undid everything I did just by going to my history instead of having to go command. And now I'm back into where I first began to, this is where you guys are, which all we were doing was moving things up and down. Okay. Now I told you to turn everything off and that we're going to mask out the roller skates. Now, it used to be in old times where you really had to draw the whole outline of the roller skates to do this. And it would take you an hour. And finally you'd be like, phew, I'm done. Now, all we need to do is click this button, remove background. Woohoo! Yay for advancements. So I'm going to show you again what I did. Select the roller skates, go to this little tool, the contextual taskbar tool, and click remove background. And what the computer did is made a selection of the legs and added a mask. This is what we did a bit more painstakingly yesterday. Last week, because when we did it to this image, oh, and this is the one that I don't have in the right folder. When we did it to this image, we couldn't easily say remove background because what's the background? Ah, actually, we could have. Most of the times it doesn't work. We could have done this and then cut out just the screen, but it worked not too badly in that it gave me a good cut out of the finger that we had to do by hand. But then we would have had to invert the mask, and then we would have had the hole that we wanted. But this would have hidden the entire iPad, not the inner part. So even with this remove background, it wouldn't have worked. We would have had to then still alter that mask because it's not a clear thing. The subject, if I had wanted the person saved and the pad removed, the remove background wouldn't have worked because this isn't clearly, it looks for what's the main subject. And the main subject here was the iPad, but it removed the whole thing, not just the screen. So for some things, you really need to do it by hand. But in this image, it's very clear what's the subject. So this is one of those easy ones for Photoshop. You just hit remove background and it knows that this is foreground and this is background because that's, you know, it's intelligent that way. So that's all you need to do.
Where did you get the remove background?
Yeah, so if you don't have this tool, hold on, down here, this is the contextual taskbar. If you don't have this, then go up to Window and turn on the contextual taskbar. It needs to have a check mark next to it. And if the check mark is off, that means that you don't have it. Did that work?
I'm not seeing the contextual in the Windows toolbar. Oh, wait, I see it. It's clicked on.
Okay, well, if you can't see it, it's probably hiding somewhere. Turn it off and turn it on again and see if it bounces back into a visible place. And if that doesn't work, then the last option is to reset your tools. Did that work? Turning this on and off? Did it appear somewhere?
No.
Okay, then the last choice is head over to the top right of your screen where we have this, the workspaces, and go ahead and say reset essentials. Once you reset essentials, you're gonna have things a little bit different than before, but that one should appear. Did that work?
No.
All right. So now I'm at a loss. So share your screen and let me help you. Dan, your hand is up. Is it a new question or is it from before?
No, I was just gonna ask,
Hold
does
on.
it,
Mary Ellen, go ahead and share your screen. I'm waiting, but meanwhile, I was just checking in if it was a new hand. Hold on to your question. Let me see. Oh, this is the beta version, and it's telling you to update it. But go up. Go to your, did you just reset essentials? Okay, so go up to your window. Window again, yeah. Oh, you know what? When you share screen, if you're seeing the menu, I'm not, yeah, go to the window tool and pull down the window. Sometimes those tools, this, okay. So contextual taskbar, go, there it is, it appeared. It appeared, stop, 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 it appeared. Hold on. Don't turn it anything and up, move away. You've got it. I see it right behind you, move away. Yeah, there it is. There's the contextual taskbar. Okay.
Where is it?
It's in front of me. Hold on. I need to get the annotation tools. Here we go. This is it, but it doesn't say remove background because you made a selection. So, and everyone pay attention. This taskbar will always change what it says based on what you are doing. And since you made a selection, it goes, oh, well, to this selection, these are the probable things that you're going to do. And since you've made a selection yourself, remove background isn't an option. Go ahead and hit deselect. And now the default choice is remove background because you haven't told it anything else. So the thing about these bars, they truly are, now click on you, move away. You said something about import background. So go ahead and click away from this. So like you don't put your mouse away so that this little, can you click your mouse somewhere else so that this thing or no, say got it. It's teaching you something. Say got it. There we go. So because it said remove background a second ago, but because if you look over here, it did it, right? So now that it did it, now it doesn't.
Diana, it did a better job of removing the background than mine did.
She's in the beta version. so
Yeah.
a little bit better. Now, hold on. The fact that it did it, and I'm teaching you about the contextual taskbar right now, not about the masking. Now it doesn't say anymore, remove background, because that's not an option. So over here, things keep changing based on what's the next option. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You were to undo, go ahead and say Command Z to undo this step. Command Z or Control Z. Are you on a Mac or on a PC? Then if you look at this, it says again, remove background, because that would be the most logical thing to do. And it's all artificial intelligence, but the most logical thing to do doesn't mean that it's what you want to do. You might want to grab a paintbrush and suddenly start painting over it. It doesn't guess that. It guesses only the most possible logical steps. So this isn't always going to show you what you need. It just guesses that I think these are probably the things you want. And one was correct. But once you did it, now click again on remove background. Once you did it, then go ahead and say cancel for a second, because you pricked on it twice. So now it moves on to, okay, so now that you did that, maybe these are the next few things you want to do. Does that make sense? So your
Yeah.
contextual bar will always be changing, okay? So if you were looking for remove background before, when you had a selection, now go ahead and undo this again. One more time, do a Command Z again. Now go and do a selection around one of these again, like you had before. Anything, just make a circle. It doesn't matter if it's correct or not. Now your contextual bar does not say remove background. It says, okay, do you want to fill? Do you want to adjust? Do you want to make a mask? So all these little icons mean something until you learn them, but it does not give you the option to remove background. And that's why you weren't seeing. I thought you weren't seeing the bar itself, but if what you were not seeing is the button for remove background, that always has to do with what's happening. Okay, so remember that if I ever tell you to use this bar, this is for everyone. Make sure that if it doesn't say what I am having mine say, it's that somewhere your steps are different. And ideally, instead of using this bar, you would, and my goal is to teach you how to use all the tools that are always there. Because if this guess is wrong and it's not what you want to do, then you have to go do that remove background from here. And yeah, the tool to remove background exists over here. And this was just a possible place for it, right? But if this were gone, how would you remove the background? It's over here. All right. So thanks for all of that holding up for the demo. That contextual taskbar is a very new tool. And those of you who maybe are back to Photoshop, that just to see the upgrades from long ago, this would be something that is very new to you. So you might need to practice with it a little bit more before you decide if you want it or don't want it. I hated it at first. I just turned it off. Because I know how to do everything without it. But then over the last few sessions, everyone has it and they want to know what to do with it. So I've begun to use it. I'm getting like, okay, it's not so bad. I guess it does help for some things. So I'm beginning to accept it. All right. So let me close this now that we're done with that sample. Remember during the course of today to keep posting here, okay? And just so that you, the reason I came back here is so that I could get you the link again, because when people show up a bit later, they don't have the link. So the link is back in the chat, and it's up to you to remember to come and keep, posting it. All right, back to Photoshop. Okay, So here's my good old remove background, and I'm going to put it down here because what really does bug me about this is that it moves with your mouse and stuff. They want you to have the tools at your fingertips. Well, you know what? I don't want the tools at my fingertips. I just want some, I want to move it out. So I'm going to right click on these three little dots and just pin the bar position so that I don't have it moving around with me. That was what really bugged me at the beginning, that it moved everywhere with me. So as long as I pin it, then I'm happier with having it there because it is useful for certain things. All right. Cool. So remove background because that's where I left you guys. There we go. And that's where we are. Now, if I look inside of this, and I'm going to zoom in, Command Command plus. I didn't get necessarily the best removal because, for example, it didn't go into this part of the shoe. It's not bad, but it didn't go into that part of the shoe or these little bits of the shoe. If I look at the before and after, I might notice that it left a little bit of the laces out. So it's really good, but it's not perfect. That said, Mary Ellen has the beta version, and I think someone said it did a better job. Maybe her beta version did notice to take these little bits off, but they're white, so they're hard to see. But there is, see how you don't see background there? You see white. So that's where we need to go in with a mask and begin to use the tools that I just was having you practice on and off, in and out, add and delete to get rid of the things that the computer didn't get. So yes. 1 second on the question here, Dan, because some people might want to get to work. So let me show you what I want you guys to do, and then I'll start helping. So I'm going to Command plus, because you really need to go up to see that. From back here, it looks good. It's fine. Everything is good. But when I zoom in and click and hold my space bar to start really checking, that's when I go, oh, this shouldn't be here. This is transparent. And this shouldn't be there, right? So watch. With the tools that I taught you, there's some better ones, but right now I just taught you the lasso tool and the rectangular tool and the elliptical tool. Is any of this a perfect rectangle or a perfect circle? No. Even if I tried to delete this, we might discover that it's not really a perfect circle because, you know, it might have some angle. So right now, of the tools that I've taught you, the only one you can use is the freeform lasso tool. And what you want is to delete this little white space. You have to then come here and do your best to drag around. And it's not perfect, but when you finish doing that, make sure that your selection is not the pixels, but the mask, which it should be, but just showing you what you want to do. And now I'm going to hit delete. And the problem with that, let me zoom in again a bit more, is that I hit delete, but it's hard to see if it's a good selection when my little marching ants are still there. So this would be a good time to deselect or hit the deselect there or do Command D. So then I look at it and I go, how did I do? And that's when I go, well, it looks like I left some stuff there and maybe I took too much from there. I'm going to Command Z and let me shift and add a bit more to that. Does that make sense? Let me add the pieces that I missed. And so plus sign, add. And then what if my fingers went over and I did that and I'm like, oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. Or maybe not even that over, but I did that and it's too much. Then I hold the Option key and then I take this little bit of extra that I didn't mean to add away. And then I go Shift plus. And so that's why I wanted you guys to get comfortable with the Shift plus and Option Alt to minus so that you can add the pieces that you might have missed, or if you go overboard, Option to take away that little piece that is one too many. And then try again, hit the deselect, and then, oh, that looks much better. Okay, and then move on to the next one. So while you guys work with that, yes. Dan.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, Dan. I think the next question was Dan, yeah.
The only question I had was, is there a way to refine that remove background feature? Or it's just set automatically?
Well, precisely. There's quite a bit of ways to refine it if you do it the handmade way. But when you use that button, remove background, it does what it does. And then you refine it.
Okay,
Instead, if I had not used that button and actually gone to the all different tools of selection that are a bit more one by one, then you can refine it before, and we might have gotten rid of those automatically, okay? But that little button that appeared over there at the beginning, and I'm gonna undo everything, that's the one that's like quick and dirty. And if it works, it's awesome, right? Because that's it, you got it made. But if it doesn't do a good job, then you need to refine that mask. And to refine that mask, there's other things that we can do. And I'm going to show them a little bit. But for now, again, it would be the computer doing things. So first I want you guys to practice this little bit, because even when you do the refine the mask, many times at the end of that, you still need to do this. Like your final steps will be you going over it and really dealing with it at the granular level. And then if I show you the select and mask refine tool, which exists, that's also the computer doing it for you. So I'm just trying to get you to learn the handmade version, and then you combine all three. All right. Nick,
So
everyone should be working on this, right? And then keep scream. And if you're not sure, by the way, if you're not sure, one little important thing, if you're not sure if you're seeing every little bit of these laces and wondering whether you need to fix this mask or not, well, I can tell there's a bit of white there, but what if I lost the tip of a lace or something? Then you can go to your layers here and for a second, hide the layer, hide the mask, and hold on your shift key and click on this mask right there. So you hide it and then you look at it again and you go, nope, looks like that's right. That's what the laces are. So then you click again on the mask and they appear again. And then you do it over here and you go, I wonder if all the laces are there. Shift, click. Oh, yeah, looks like that's what the laces are, and then are done. So shift click helps you to see if something else is missing. You got that? Hold down the shift key and simply click right here. And then this is the image before the masking. And if you look and go, no, that's true, all the wheels are there, you click on this again and it's masked again, and then you keep correcting. The last time I did this with a class some times ago, it hadn't done a good job with the pants. This time it did a pretty good job with the pants, and it's got all the laces. Like time we used this exact same image, it had eaten up some of the laces. So yeah, as you move up in versions, it gets more and more intelligent. So this time it didn't eat up any of the laces, but it still left little holes. So that's really, it seems like the only thing that we need to fix this time. Little bits and pieces between the wheels. Whereas last time that I did this, we actually had to fix also some laces, and we had to add some pants. So yeah, Photoshop is getting better and better, but you still need to check on it really zoomed in every little corner and edge before you're happy with it. All right, I'm not seeing any other hands, or yes. Nope. Is that all the questions answered? All right. So by now, hopefully you have had a chance to get rid of a lot of all those extra little pieces. If you did, then give me a yes. And if you didn't, or it didn't work, or you have a question, then raise your hand. So yeah, Aaron?
When I hit delete, it's not doing anything when I have it selected.
Right, so show me your screen. It's
Okay.
usually, I need to see it. Show there's something else happening, and that's the kind of stuff I need to see. All right, so let's see.
This little section
Aside
here.
from that- oh yeah, I can see what's happening. Look at your colors and the toolbar at the very bottom.
Okay.
Very bottom left, you have, no, the toolbar on the left where you see the colors black and white.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you hit the delete key, what happens is it fills with the color that's in the background.
Oh,
In your case, you're filling white you're filling it white with white. So you need to shift that, and the X key will shift that. And now when you hit the delete key, it'll work.
Okay.
Because
Cool.
truly what's happening, guys, and you could have just grabbed a brush and painted the right color, but by hitting the delete key, it's those colors over here. Oh, you.
Sorry, I didn't know. I can.
Thank you. It's these colors over here that begin to matter. Whoops, that begin to matter. Because the delete key is a shortcut way of painting with the background color. And this is your foreground color, F. And this bottom one is your background color, right? So when you hit that's not a very good writing, but you got the point. So when you hit the delete key, what you need in the mask is to hide it. You need black. See? And how do I know? You look at the mask and go, oh, what's hiding is this, and it's black. So that's, you don't have to remember what hides what light. Just look at your mask and go, white is what I'm seeing, black is what I'm not. So this I don't want to see, so it must be black. And in her case, can you hit the X key again? She had it like that. So every time she hit delete, this little bit was being filled with white, which is what was already there. So if something ever doesn't work when you hit delete, check your background color, flip it again with the X key, and then the delete will paint with black, which is what she needed, and then it worked. Okay.
Cool.
So cool. Thank you. I thought I had seen someone else's hand. Rebecca?
I seem to be doing the same thing again. I don't know what's wrong with my brain today.
Share your screen. Guys, it takes so many times. How many times did you get on a bicycle before you didn't fall anymore? Okay. So there's nothing wrong with anyone if you make the mistake again and again. It's just a learning process. All right. So let me look at where your tools are at. You're in the right place. Okay. So there you go. Oh, it's the same answer as Aaron. It's exactly the same answer as Aaron. Right now, when you hit the delete, what's happening is your mask is filling with white, and white is not what it needs. It needs black. So you need to go switch. Yeah, now hit the delete key. Okay. That is such a typical mistake that's why I had Aaron like not go away and demo it. And there you go. Someone else did it again because it is typical. I see this all the time. So it's not a like, I don't know what I'm doing kind of mistake. It is just getting accustomed to how masking works. And you guys are just learning masking. So never, ever stop from asking because you think, oh, I should know that by now. Like that. No, don't ever think that. Okay. Don't ever
I
think about it.
thought I had black on the top. Why would it switch?
Because it's about the bottom. It's the background color that you need. And you had white on the bottom. Okay. If you were painting with black, your brush needed to have black. It would have been on the top. But when you hit the delete key, it does the opposite. The delete paints with the bottom color. So how would you have known that if I didn't tell you? So there you go. Now you know. All right. And now you know, and I assure you, you will all forget again, and this will happen again. And then just remember, what would Diana do? Let me see. Am I filling with the right color or not? Now, let me share my screen again. What I taught you last week, and even the day that we did the bridge and we grabbed that green, instead of selecting that area and hitting delete, which is what I just taught you, I just said select and hit delete, right? Okay. But what I did last week or before this is I had done grab a brush, right? Choose a brush the right size and the right hardness, and then choose the color, which in this case, it does have to be on top. And then I told you now go for it, start deleting, right? So that's what I had taught you. And can you do that again? Yes, you can also do that now. You could have just gone in here and just painted out with a black brush the stuff you don't want, which is fine. I'm just teaching you different days of doing it. And so this would have worked just fine. And then if I go over, I have to switch to white and then repaint the stuff that I shouldn't have deleted. So it's not one was better than the other. In some situations, one is better. And in other situations, the other one is better, right? So you just, if selecting doesn't work for you, then use the brush. It's just that both methods are needed sometimes, and I wanted you guys to know both methods. Okay, so now with the brush, I'm painting in on the places, or with the selection tool, I'm selecting and I'm changing and I'm hitting delete, and that's working too. So I'm changing the color. So both ways achieve the same exact goal. Okay. And I'm just doing it very abruptly. Right now I ate into that roller skate, but anyway, the goal right now is to not to get the perfect roller skate, is to teach you how to do these things. Cool. If that kind of worked and you went around and did all the different spaces and holes that I didn't do, then give me a yes. Hold on. Those yeses were there from before. So if you already said yes, I'm clearing them out. So tell me again, if you're good and it's working, and go ahead and change to the brush and try to do it with a brush, and you'll see that you can do it with a brush as well. And if you're not sure, then get yourself a brush and do it on a big chunk and go, whoops, yeah, it was working, you know, and undo, and then, or switch back to black and repaint. Yeah, so that means that both systems work. If I make a little hole here and hit delete, it works just as well as if I fill with the paintbrush and I paint with black. So both ways give me exactly the same final solution. Okay. Yes, Dan?
So when you started with that brush, the top, I guess, foreground box looked like it was black, but then once you started brushing, it went to white.
I'm hitting the
So-
X. I'm hitting the X key. So when you're in a brush,
Oh.
the X key is changing black to white, black to white. And so
Okay,
when I'm brushing, I need white. When I'm covering, I need black. And why you're not seeing me go there is because I'm hitting the X key and then I'm hitting the X key again. And if you look over there, it shifted and now I'm getting the other one. So that's why it's
But-
good to have shortcuts,
when,
because you don't need to go and do that to do this and then that to do this. All I need to do is hit the X key to do that and then hit the X key to do that. And it's shortcuts make things faster.
and when you said you're painting like on that leg and you say black, but it shows white. Or
Oh.
am I just, is the top
Yes.
square the foreground?
Okay, so then down here in the mask.
Yep.
Let me show you the mask. Hold on, because now this is how you see the mask alone, which is option or kilt. This is basically what you need to consider. And you would look at it here. You don't need to see it in big, but you look at it here and you go, if what I want to see is white, then if I want to hide something, I need to shift to black. And so that was me painting and making a hole. Okay. That was,
But on the other picture, it'll show white. Okay. Or no color.
shows that it's transparent.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, I'm seeing the original thing. And then if I switch over there, I'm going to switch with the X and I paint over it again, right? I'm going to see it because I am, and I don't, some people try to memorize black hides, conceals, white reveal. I don't even know it. I don't even bother with that. I just look at my mask and go, oh, roller skates I'm seeing and are white. Background, I am not seeing and it's black. That means that if I want to add something, I need to paint with black. Like my brain just works that way. And I go, okay, I'm going to put black on and I'm going to, you know what I mean? That's just how
Yeah,
my brain works.
I think you've done it so long that you don't think about it
Exactly.
anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. But,
Yeah.
but other than that, what I use to remind myself, I look over here and I go, if I'm seeing the roller skates and the roller skates are white, what I'm trying to do is hide stuff. Then that means I need black because I'm hiding the background with black. That means I need to paint with black to hide stuff. So then I put black and I hide. Does that make sense? That what I'm trying to say.
It did until you saw what you just did there and you're seeing white go on instead of black,
Because
but
it's
I
not
get what you're
white,
saying.
it's transparent. and
know,
That's the
I
part
know.
that's weird. It's transparent.
Yeah.
And so it looks like it's white, but
Yep.
I'm painting black.
Yep. No, that makes sense when you put it in
But
in
in
the
the
context of
result,
the
in
mask.
the result, it looks like transparent, not really white, right?
Right.
But That's what it looks
Right.
like. That's why it's confusing. This transfer of there to here and saying black and white, your brain, the reason we can't work in this mode, which would, then it would be clearly black or white, is because if I have white, if I have spaces here that I need to work on right now to fix, I can't see them. Unless
Right.
I see the image, I can't see them.
Right.
That's why you need to work in this mode. You need to be seeing
Okay.
what needs to be fixed. But in your brain, you're really working in here. You're working on this black and white, right? And so, and if this is something you need to see, then it's option click and it helps you go, oh, okay. White is for the legs and black is for the background. And if I want to hide background, then I need to use black. Okay, good. Like you think it through, option click, and then you start going with, I mean, I wanted to hide, and what I need to hide is that little white space. So I should probably use what's in there, which is black. So your brain kind of has to, you know, when you first drive and you have to look at the rear view mirror. I don't know if you,
Right.
first time ever that I looked at the rear view mirror when I was driving, I was like, I don't know what I'm seeing. And now I do. It's some things you just need to practice. That's all. And then you'll get it. But this is the practice time. Cool. All right. Great questions, you guys. Any other questions? It's all working. All right. Now, I'm not going to do anything in particular with these right now. This was just showing you more what was happening in order to get done something when you want to move it forward. And I have not done a good selection of mine yet, but let's assume that everyone has done a good selection. And now what I'm going to have us do, I want us to open, go to bridge. Let's open at this point, the Falling Star JPEG. And I'm just having you open that one because there's a lot of black and dark on it. And in this case, we're going to go, oh my God, that was a horrible selection. You'll see why. So double click the Falling Star to open it up. Once it's open, go back to these roller skates, which for all intents and purposes, looks like they're really nicely cut out. And now we're going to take this entire layer. Okay. Now, if you have anything else open, go ahead and close them by now. You can say don't save because I don't want anything else open. I want only these two. I want your layers and your falling star. I want them next to each other. Because what I want to do is I want to bring a layer from here to here together with its mask. Okay. Together with its mask. It would be relatively easy to now just grab the legs and bring them over. But if our masking is bad, you won't be able to fix it because if you left a chunk of roller skate over here, over there, you can't fix it. So I'm going to take it with a mask so that we can keep fixing our mask on the other side. And I'm giving us the worst possible situation because I'm going to put legs over here that used to be on top of white. And I want them to try to merge into black or dark blue. And you'll see that it'll be virtually, not impossible, but very, very hard. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab our deselect. If you still have any kind of selection going on here or whatever, make sure to deselect so you have nothing left going. Command D or deselect. Let's go and move to our move tool, or V if you click on your keyboard, move tool. And when that is all set up, just watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over here to my layer. See my mouse? Just watch first. Don't do it. And I'm going to click and drag my layer up to the word falling star. And when I shift there, then I'm going to come back here down and I'm going to let go. And I have brought my legs over. So I'm going to do that again. Select this. Now do it with me or do it on your own. Click and drag. Move it over until your mouse touches falling star and it shifts and you can see the falling star file, and then put your mouse over here again and let go. If you have managed to move the legs over to this new file, please go ahead and give me a yes. All right. I think I had cleared the feedback and that these are new yeses, are they? Okay. I wasn't sure if I remember. So does everyone has a roller skate starts over here? Okay. Now, did it surprise anyone that these roller skates are humongous in comparison to the star? Did you all go, oh, yeah? If you went, oh, give me a yes. It's like, that was unexpected.
All
Yeah,
right, what,
like-
I'm doing something wrong, Diana, because it's not, I'm dragging it over, but which I've done in other of your classes, but it's not
Share your
taking them,
screen.
wondering.
Usually it's a physical thing that I need to see. So share your screen so I can show you.
Yeah, okay, you bet.
Mhm. Yeah. It's easier to just copy paste and you take the roller skates, but I brought us with the masks because as you might have noticed
Right.
already, it's not perfect.
Of
Okay,
course.
so here we go.
Can you
Do
see
you
my
have
screen?
anything- Yeah, do you have any go ahead and do Command D just to make sure there's nothing selected. Quick Command D. All right.
Yep.
And now, yeah, go ahead and grab it. And you're not dragging it, so you need to try again. You need to visually, physically see it with you. Are you on a mouse or on a touchpad or?
Here we go.
There it is, okay. Now go until you switch to falling star. So move your mouse, yeah, and now come down, 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 and let go.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anyone else? Nope. All right. So before we do anything about how good or bad the mask is, I want to talk about that like gigantic legs. Okay. Oh, I'm sharing on the wrong computer. Let me share from this computer. The gigantic legs. Why? Well, let me ask you. Where could I have known already that these legs were going to be been huge? Where would I have had to look to not be surprised by this?
Metadata.
The metadata, which I see where?
Bridge.
Bridge. Let's go to bridge. And let's look at the metadata of the falling star. And the falling star's entire width and height would be 2,000 pixels wide and the height of 1,300 pixels tall. Yeah? All right. Now let's select the layers random object. And it's 2,700 wide and 4,000 tall. So if it's 4,000 tall, yes, that's true. The roller skates aren't as tall as the whole thing. So maybe if this is 4 divided by 4, probably the roller skates are 3,000 pixels tall. Let's assume that if this whole thing is 4,000 pixels tall, maybe this occupies 300 of it, actually a bit more, but 300 of it, right? Sorry, 3,000, sorry. If this is 4,000, this is 3,000. So then if you grab this, with the height of this one is only, let's say, rounded out to 1,000, that means that this thing is going to come in here. It's going to be about 4 times as tall. Does that make sense, you guys? And it's not about math, it's just common sense. You put something that's 4 feet into something that's 1 foot, it's going to be a lot of leftover, right? So that's kind of 4,000 pixels into 1,000 pixels, and it's huger. But there you go. That's this is the 4 times as big-ish image. And if I go command minus, 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 and I click on this, you can see that as I hover over it, it's giving us a bit of an idea of how big that image really is, because you can see those lines popping up there. And it goes up and down. So yeah, it makes sense. This is about, let me see, 1, 2, and 3-ish times as big as that one. Very abruptly, but there you go. So that's an example of how many pixels you have really affects resolution. All right. I messed around with this file. I seem to have added and take away from different parts, but on top of that, I very, very abruptly did this, and then I said, okay, done. But over here, it looked pretty good. It looked okay. Why? Because I see this into nothingness. Granted, this is the one that I did last where I just went because I wanted to have a really bad one. And when I hide it, all I see is white. And notice that what I'm hiding is going to end up having an edge of white pixels, right? Because if this roller skates were photographed on top of a black background, I would have black in here, and I delete, then it would be easier to hide black into black. But if instead what I have is white pixels, when I go into a dark background, even the ones I didn't do, even the ones that the computer did, have a little white halo. See that? So these are the ones that technically should be the good, oh, hold on, should be the good ones. And see how there's still a little white halo? But look at this, it looks worse because it's on a dark background. Let's go ahead and go to our bridge. And this time, let's open, oh, I don't want to open that one because it's raw, which is not a good idea. Do I not have anything else that's lightish enough? This is not much of space, but let's open this one. It's not the best example, but here, this one here has enough that it'll be enough for us to kind of see what I'm talking about. Go to this one that has a bicycle, double click on that one. And it's not white, but it's pretty light. If I now, I'm going to move this over here, and this is just to test the system, right? I can go from either one now, it doesn't matter, and grab this and drag it up there and put it here. And I zoom in. Oh, sorry. Zoom in. It suddenly doesn't look so bad, does it? Against a light background. And yes, I did a horrible job over here. So that horrible job still shows. But where I did a bit better of a job, in this case, the computer, it's looking good versus against this one, you still had a little halo around it. Does that make sense what I'm saying, guys? There's just, you had it on white, you put it on black, it's going to be much harder to do a good mask than if you have it on white and you put it on light. Okay? Because there's going to be those errant pixels that are going to just mess it up a little bit. Okay? That said, this is a good time to actually fix that mask because now you can really see what's happening. Before, you thought you could see what was happening, which wasn't. So one recommendation I have is when you're cutting something out from something dark, like this, something light or dark, it doesn't matter. Instead of cutting it like this with just nothing behind, which makes it hard to see, I recommend adding a full layer of dark, or if you're cutting from dark, adding a full layer of white. So back to this one now, the original one where we did our cutting. That was just to show you. Back to this one where we did our cutting. And this is something that is more like more higher level, how you do this and correct yourself correctly. Let's make a new layer. I'm going to go down here and make a new layer. Okay. And this new layer, I'm going to select all. Select all is Command A, Control A. But I'm on the layer, new layer now. Command A, and if you pay attention when you do that, all Command A or Control A. If not, go up to the word select and choose Select A, select all up there. And now we're going to fill it with a dark color, and in this case, with black. And then I'm going to invert the layers. If I know I'm heading into a black layer, into a dark sky, just fake it so that now you can see what's happening. Does that make sense? If you know that you're going to be heading in to match it with this color, then you can fake this background. If you know you're matching if you're going into like orange, then go over here and make this be an orange background, just so that you can really see how much you need to worry or not about the masking. Does that make sense? You're creating somewhat the environment you're going to have. Black is as bleak as it gets. And if this was on white, like it was, you better find another image. But yes, there's a way to make it better. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. And then after that, we're going to move on to something else. So yes, Catalina. I can't hear you. If you're talking to me, I can't hear you at all. And you're not muted, but I still can't hear you. Maybe your sound isn't connected or something, Catalina. Because the mute, I can see that you're unmuted, but I'm not hearing anything. Is it just me? Is anyone else hearing me right now? You're hearing me, yeah? Can I hear you guys? Somebody say something.
Everything sounds good.
Okay, it wasn't just me. I wanted to make sure I could hear you. Okay, I can hear you, then I should be hearing Catalina. Catalina, can you write in the chat if you're hearing me? Because then it must be something on your side, because I can hear everyone else, but I can't hear you. So go in the chat. And then I'll see what you can hear. I can hear you, yeah, but I cannot hear you. So if you have a question because your hand is up, I can't hear you. I don't know why, but go ahead and go down to the thing and type your question maybe then. You can hear me. Yeah, I don't know. So type your question and do your best. And if you want to, you can write it in Spanish. And if not, just type it. And then I'll answer once I can see what your question is. All right. So anyway, this is just a trick, like how do I do this? Because even with the computer doing it, when I zoom in on the parts that the computer did, see how there's just a little tiny white halo in some places that aren't working. And in other places, I don't think I did this. I think this is something the computer did. That's interesting. Why would I have had that little line there? Does everyone have that little thing there? Maybe it's weird.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
supposed
Yeah,
to be
mine-
like the other,
This
it's like
kinda-
the seam of the,
Yeah.
See, mine has it on both shoes, but it's a smoother line on the upper shoe,
Yeah, it's
on the
interesting.
left
But this
boot.
is probably, you know what this probably is, by the way, these are sample files that I pick up from places that do these photos to give you. This is probably, this is somebody who had a different background against these roller skates, and to put it on the site, they eliminated the background and they messed up here and they didn't notice. And they put it on white to put it on the sample file. They must have taken this picture against something else, because that is, it looks like another piece of thing. So anyway, I'm going to grab my brush now and just watch. I'm going to try to get rid of it with my brush, and I will probably do a horrible job. And why in particular is this a horrible job? Because I have a very hard brush. I'm going to go put a very soft brush. And now I'm going to try to eliminate it. And why is that a pretty bad job? Is because it's too soft. Does that make sense? So you kind of need to work into what would be the right brush and try it a little bit here and there until you find a brush that kind of makes it look like it's merging as naturally as possible. And I think this might have been it. And I kind of like this edge. And I'm going to go until I don't see the white. Kind of like that better than this. This is the one that the computer did for me. When I zoom close enough, see how it's kind of bitten up and eaten up? Kind of like mine a little bit better. So ultimately, very ultimately, no matter what the computer does for you, if you really know how to do it by hand, it's always good to end up going over it by hand. Let me go to the question that Kathleen is writing. My question was, which layer you have to stand in to make the mask? You need to be selecting the layer that you want to mask. So in this case, these have already been masked out. So there's nothing there, but this one, And I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate this mask because I'm so far now that I'm gonna delete. If I want to make a mask on this thing, then this is the layer I need to be deselecting, because if I now were on this one and I go to this one to remove background, I've made a mask on that one and that's not what I wanted. So I need to be in the layer that the mask has to happen. And then when I say remove background, that will happen in there. Now, not sure if that was exactly your question. That's just what I understand from what you wrote, Katarina. So hopefully that was it. All right, so now I'm back to the one that the computer did because I just redid it. So my stuff is kind of not happening there. And what I have here is, I'm going to zoom out. What I have left to do here then is to actually use the tools that the computer gives us to refine this mask around all of the edges. And that's something that I'm going to find in the refine mask and select and mask tool. So now everyone, wherever you're at, deselect everything. Let's head over to the mask. Command D, Control D to deselect everything. Let's go over to the mask. And then up here in the properties, you might have this too small, so you might need to scroll down, or you might need to move this down. But up here in the properties, there's something here that's called select and mask. And we're going to head into that tool, the select and mask tool, which is big and could be kind of confusing. So we're going to use it only a little bit. We're not going to it has so many options that I can't cover all the options right now. But let's click on select and mask. Many of you guys who have taken this class before might have never seen the select and mask. I show it kind of every other time, depending on the image. Let's hit select and mask. When you are here in this that I'm showing, give me a yes, because I want everyone to be here before I continue. Okay, so let me show you again how I did that. Select your mask. So not the thumbnail, but the mask part of it. And then under the properties tab, if you get to the bottom, you'll see select and mask. And if you don't see it, it might be that you are not seeing enough of it and you need to scroll down, and there's your select and mask. There's many other places that you can pick up the select and mask from, but when the mask is already made, that's the right place to do it from. All right. I need to see yeses on everyone. Make sure you're all here before I continue. Mary Ellen. Okay. Dan, where are you at and how can I help?
Mine's grayed out. Like I've got the mask highlighted, but then when I go under properties and under refine and select and mask, it's grayed out.
So can you share your screen, please?
Yeah.
All right. So let me open this up. Okay. So, looks like you're in the transform tool. Go ahead and hit escape for a second. Okay. So it's not that you're in the transform tool. It's just that you are seeing the, you're seeing the transform tools from the top of the mask, which I recommended taking off, but if you're comfortable with them, you can leave them. But if not, if you go up to the yeah, we can't see it because your zoom tools are on the way. There's that, we see a gray splotch, and that's your zoom tools, so you wouldn't be able to see them either. Yeah, so go up to the little gears. No, right on, go under, and those little gears there. Yeah, click on that. And say unclick the top choice. Good. All right. So that's what's happening. You have a selection going, and I said deselect everything. You couldn't see it because you had those tools on. So deselect by saying Command D, or go up to select and say deselect all. So go up with your mouse. I'll show you where else you can deselect.
Yeah, that was
Okay. So go up with your mouse to the place where you saw those little gears right now. Yeah, and now go left. And then up above you, you have all these words, and over there it says select. You see that? Yeah, so there, the one choice is to deselect, which you did now, because see how it's grayed out?
Yep.
You did a Control D, okay. So now that you don't have anything selected, go back and see how Select and Max is available to you. There you go.
Okay, thanks.
Alright. Yeah, those borders, those transform tools hide your selections. That's why I really don't like them. And if anyone's still seeing them, I recommend to not see them. They're very cumbersome and in the way. Again, something that started showing up a few versions ago, and I've never liked that. So, all right.
Hello.
I can hear you now, Catalina. You just hello?
I was trying, yeah, sorry. Now it's working.
Now it's working. Okay, good.
I
So
have another question, by the way.
yeah.
I'm not seeing the that choice that you just select.
Okay, so what I selected was made sure to select the mask and then make sure to not have a selection, right, which is what just happening. So Control D or Command D to get rid of your selections. Then go and find your properties.
Yes.
And if you don't see it, you might need to scroll up.
Oh, okay, got it.
There it is. Okay, great. And Mary Ellen, is it?
I
If it's for
I-
what you have inside, I haven't talked about yet, but if it's something else, yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten lost.
Okay. Go ahead and share your screen so I can see where you are to help you catch up. I want to do a little adjustment with the select and mask, and then we'll take our break, okay? I know that it's been a little bit longer than normal. So whenever you share your screen, you know. I'm sorry. I just, coffee went the wrong way. No, I'm okay.
I
Oh,
thought it was the shock of how lost I am.
it sure has nothing to do with you. Oh, okay. So basically what you've got is you have like underneath you're seeing bridge and you're seeing this little floating window. So hit your F key, F as in fire. Now hit it again. Okay, and you're in your zoom tool, so that won't work. You need to first click on this, click on the roller skates. Go back to Photoshop in the bottom. Click on the PS icon in your dock. Oh, you have both Photoshops open. That's so interesting. See how you have two PSs? You have one Photoshop. Okay, go click on your skate, put right on the roller skate, click on that roller skate. Yeah. Okay, now hit the F key. There you go. You had lost all your tools.
Ah,
Now go on your left side, head on the way up to the word properties. You might want to zoom down. You want to see more of your image right now. So Command Z, Command minus first. Okay. And then now go up to the properties, and in the properties, go up to the properties panel. Yeah. And then scroll down a bit. No, you have a transform on. Look at the left. You have a brush tool on. So you need to be in your move tool. So go up to your move tool. Up. Top tool is a move tool. Good. All right. And now make sure and hit the command or the Command D to make sure nothing's. So you have the transform tools again. How frustrating those can transform drive. I want you to take those transform tools away. Go over here. I forget that's the default setting now is to have them on. Go up here to where I just made a little circle, those little gears. Yeah. And turn off the top choice. Good. Now go up to select. And there's nothing selected. Okay, you're ready to go. All right, so let's go back here now. And you should be able to now choose over here. Somehow you have there's the properties and then there's the mask. So click this one that says this one, the mask, that guy,
What?
the second one, that one, yeah. There, and now here's your select and mask. Whenever the settings aren't exactly like mine, I have to see them to see what's different, right? But anyway, there's your select and mask. Do you see it?
Yes.
Click on it. And here we go. Now I'm going to stop your share. And I'm going to share mine. Okay. Now, when I do the select and mask thing, oh, I need to share first. Okay. So when I go into my select and mask mode, depending on your settings, like over here, you might have different colors or different things. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. Let me cancel for a second. Remember how I just told you to fake it by putting this black behind it? If that's enough, that's all you need to do. But if you go into the select and mask, then this here is ways to do exactly what I just did there. This view, when you click on this arrow, you can view this as if it's sitting on marching ants, on overlay, on black, on white, on black and white, on layers. So there's different ways of seeing this so that you can see to the best of your ability what this is going to look like. And on black is exactly the same as what I just did. It's like, and I'm going to zoom in, and it's faking some black behind it. If you know you're going to go into black, then you want to be able to see it as if it's on black. If you're going to be mixing this with something that's going to be white, then you might want to do that, et cetera, right? Whichever way works best. This one here gives you like a red overlay, so it's somewhere in between. This one I would never choose because it's a selection. This one gives you a little bit of transparency to what you have. This one is only useful if you have something. We have nothing behind it. We have a blank thing. So this one doesn't work. So on black. Let's go to on black. And now we need to make this look as good as it can. Right? I started from 0, so I don't have my masks again. I just don't have that going. We have to make this look as good as it can. Okay. And one of the solutions that you could use right now is heading straight down here. Let's put it in. Let's put this somewhere, like if you need to zoom in or out so that you can see better, you definitely want to be at least at 100%. And I would go maybe 200% so that you see it. It's beyond what's right. 100% is what's right. And if it looks good here, then that's probably going to look good in the computer and your final. But over here, I can see a little bit of a halo. If I go to 200%, I can really see that halo, right? So that kind of helps to look at it a little bit bigger than you're going to see it, but not too much bigger. Because yeah, if you go over there, clearly it'll never look good, right? So there's somewhere in between that's a good place to look at it. About yay big. I'm going to head down here, and there's a couple different choices that are very important, but the one I'm going to say to eliminate the halo, if the halo is everywhere, which in this thing, there's like a white halo everywhere, which is typical of things that are against a white background, then you can shift the edge of this mask. So just watch for a second. Look at this part of my, look over here, put your mouse over here, your eyes over here on my screen. And I'm going to shift this edge to the right and see how I'm making more white appear. I'm going to go back to the middle or to the left. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the right. I see a lot of white. I'm extremely to the left. It's kind of cutting in. It's like it's enlarging the mask in, okay? So that you take some of that halo out. It's just cutting into the image, literally. The edge. If you could see let me say for a second, the marching ants, they are literally moving out and in. You see that? We're making the mask smaller. You have to be careful with this. You can't use it too much because if you got something very delicate, you're going to take too much of the image away. But that's a good general rule when you have a huge halo like this. go to a place, not where there's a big problem like that, but where there's, you know, a bit of a halo. And then you can just shift the edge a bit. And many times, if you go then back to 100%, that might have taken most of the halo away. It can't take all of the halo away, but if you shift completely and it doesn't destroy the rest of the image, then shift it all the way to the left edge. And if I look at my legs, for the most part, from where I started, look at a big white halo that I had here, to now, that kind of helps. I just pointed out to something that I shouldn't have. So that's one solution. And that works in this case. If you didn't have to go against white, if you were going against something else, then you might discover that you might not need to shift the edge so much, okay? So that's just possibilities. Then you can watch over here. Let me cancel because I need to. There's another problem with this beyond the fact that there's a halo. And it's the fact that even if I get rid of the halo over here, where I did a sharp cut, the texture of this and a sharp cut looks weird suddenly against that. It's almost like a collage, like you put a piece of scissors and cut it on top. And so what you want is a more subtle transition, a bit more fuzzy transition, because even if this didn't have the halo, it wouldn't look like it really belongs here. Does that make sense? Here, it blends a little bit better, but even here, this looks like I'm just sticking it on top. So, and now I'm going to go back to where you guys are, and I'm going to shift again. So sometimes it's good to feather that edge a tiny little bit, okay? Let me go back to my on black. If I shift my edge, I'm going to scroll in. See how it's a kind of a sharp edge? So if I go over here and I'm going to feather it just a lot, then I lose it. But if I feather it just a tad, just a teensy bit, look at over here. See how from there, where it was a sharp edge, just a little bit, see how it gets softer? I feather it just a tad, not too much. Be careful, because then it starts looking at you cutting into the piece, especially if you shifted the edge a lot. So now you might notice that you need to shift the edge less, like go back on the shift edge and then a little bit less of shift and a teensy bit of feather. You're making the edge look more realistic. There's so many other things you can do here in this tool, if you have hair and other stuff, but just that we just did, and this is where we started, from there to there, that looks like it's cut with a piece of paper, and then just shifting the edge and adding a little bit of feather. We're softening this much more, and then that is going to blend much better, more realistically, because in real life, things don't like have a sharp contrast or you know, it really is true that things kind of slowly blend into things. Okay. So we're going to do that, and it's going to help us have the edges blend into the new background. And then depending on your background, sometimes more contrast helps or makes it worse. In this case, I think contrast would make it worse. Sometimes you have something that's very, very not too like this looks like she has varicose veins or something. So you can smooth it out a tiny bit too. And that one sometimes helps depending on how you got. So these little tools are supposed to make this be a little bit smoother of a transition. The negative is that it might end up having these little like curves, which isn't real. So the smooth gives you that kind of stuff. So which is why I don't like the smooth too much. So if you move back, you can just smooth a teensy bit that helps. If you do too much of it, it looks weird. It's like the finger, the thing that you're finished. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is every image would have its different things that make it better. So you just need to try these things. With this image, move this in and out. With that image, move this in and out. So if like Moni now goes back to her image here and applies some of these things to the hand and that mask, it might become a bit more realistic that it's actually hanging in there because you can blend it in a little bit more, not into that shadow and stuff like that. I mean, I can't see because this is fuzzy. Maybe it looks great when it's so fuzzy, I can't tell, but it might help if you didn't have that. That's the you know, things that look like they're pasted on top. She did this, she added the shadows to help with that. But look at this mask and see if there's anything here that looks kind of weird. I can't tell, it's fuzzy. Then you might want to do some of that selected mask to make it blend in more. And if it already looks perfect and there's nothing weird to it, then you're fine. And it looks like they're standing there. Okay. So it's up to you. You have to approach your real thing and see if some of this might help when you're doing these kind of projects to get a better mask. I'm going to go back here. I went back and forth so many times that I actually never even took these out. But there is a tool, a Refine Edge brush tool, that might have helped me do like this and have it kind of guess where the edges were. This is really great for when you have hair or something like that. It's not going to be good for this because it's too abrupt. But just so you know, play around when you have hair or something like that and try to have it go around the edge, and it kind of guesses where the edge is. And over there, it did a pretty good job. When it's outside, it's better. When it's inside, it's not so good. I'm going to kind of drag it around here and it kind of guesses, and it did a pretty good job at guessing that that was the place. It's not perfect, and it depends on how well I handle my mouse. And over there, I didn't handle it well, right? So let's just say that it's a possible tool. This does an amazing job when you're doing it on hair or dog's fur or stuff like that. The Refine Edge tool is really good at reading and finding those edges. And then there's another tool here called Refine Hair, which if you put that one on, it rereads everything. And if you have hair, it keeps helping you find the edges of the hair. So keep playing around with these choices, open up different files and use some of these tools to see how you can modify things to get your mask to be better as best as you can from the beginning. And then when you need more help, you open the Refine Mask tool. Now I'm going to show you how to finish this. When you're done, at the very bottom, there's this thing called Output Settings. If you open it, one pretty important one, say that these were roller skates rolling on grass, the edge, instead of looking light, would look kind of greenish. If this was a plane in the sky, the edges would look a little bit bluish because that's what the fuzzy edges would have. So if you hit Decontaminate Colors, then that edge that brought in a color would become neutral. Since we have white in this one, you won't see much of a difference, but if you ever cut something out from something that has a color in the background, the Decontaminate Colors really helps. So I'm just saying kind of most of the time it's a good thing to have turned on. And then I'm going to say, okay, and it's going to output to a new layer with a layer mask. Okay. So I'm going to say, okay to that. And now here we are. This is my new one. See how it says roller skates copy? This is the one that I had that was not refined. And this is the one that I do have that it is refined, but make sure not to have this other one turned on, because if you have the other one turned on, you'll be seeing the bad stuff in it. So turn the eyeball off of your original one. And this one should be better than the first one because you've softened it and done a bit better of a job. So now if you want to test this, let's grab this one and move it over to the falling star and bring it in. And then you can compare. I think this is the new one. And this is my old one. And all I didn't actually make the thing better myself. I in fact hadn't even done anything, but when I do old one and new one, this is the original one that I brought in without shifting the edge, without decontaminating colors, without feathering. differently, and this is the new one. And look at how much better it blended in. Pretty cool. Can you see the difference? I'm gonna clear all the feedback. So that was just general possible corrections that you're gonna make. So if it looks better on black, you can imagine that if I were to put it in here, it would look really even better in here. But this is the litmus test, how it looks on dark. And this is what the old one looked like. So you have a little halo everywhere. And this is the new one that I did a refine edge with a select and mask. All right. How's that going? Do you see the difference in yours? Are you way behind? Do you need help? Are you good? If everyone's kind of good, I'm going to give us a break. If you have questions, this would be a good time. And what you might want to do is now do some screenshots. Yes, of the whole refine and edge tool, which I kind of forgot to take a screenshot in that moment. But at the very least, go ahead and do a screenshot of that. Like I'm going to put one behind, in front of the other, kind of like that. It's a bit hard to do, but you can see the edges, how different they are, and do a screenshot of that. That kind of thing, that might help. And that looks so much better than that. Okay, and do that. Or you can just write in the edges and tell me if the top edge is the one without. And the tool is called Select and Mask. And you did that to refine the edges. Okay, so we did a select and mask to refine the edges of our original selection.
Hey, Diana.
Yeah.
Total non sequitur, but on your right-hand side where you have all the individual layers.
Yeah.
Yours is much, each of those bars is much wider than mine.
Yeah, it's much bigger. A lot of here's what I did, right click, and I'm using large thumbnails because when I'm teaching, these are too small to see. If you have space and you have a big screen, you might want to do that too. I do it for teaching, but the problem, the compromise is then I don't see the names of my files. So then I might need to pull this out a bit, but then that takes up more real estate space. So I think that the best choice maybe is like medium thumbnails. Where you see a bit,
that's much better. Yeah,
right?
thank
And
you.
I kind of go with this one because I'm teaching, but then I'm losing other stuff. So yeah, somewhere in between, medium seems about the good one. So right click on the thumbnail and choose the size of thumbnails you want. No thumbnail.
That's
I
beautiful.
never
Thank you.
recommend because you wouldn't know what your mask is doing, right? So yeah, so definitely you want at least small, which is the default, and medium might be a bit better. All right, yes, Mary Ellen?
I'm way behind. I opened up Falling Star, but then I don't see.
Okay, go ahead and share your screen. Everyone, keep working on refining that mask, do a little bit better, play with it a little bit. And by the way, you can open the refine the mask here too. In this one, right? Just select the mask, right? In this one, select the mask. This is the good one, right? Select the mask and then go down here and there's your selected mask over here. And then you can keep kind of playing around in this one. Got it? So do a little bit of that. I'm going to stop my share and yeah, can you share your screen now, Mary Ellen? Because you can always make it better. All right. Looks like you've lost the rest of your Photoshop again. Hit the F key, the F as in fire. Fortune, fire. Actually on top, you need to be in Photoshop and you're not in Photoshop. So click with your mouse on this picture. Yeah. Yeah. Go for it. Click again on the thing. Yeah, click. I need you to choose one of these and bring it up. Yeah, good. So now you see the tools. Okay. So it does not seem that you are seeing all the different files that you have open. So go up to Window. Yeah. And then go down to Arrange. Right here. Arrange at the very top. The first choice of the whole window. Yeah, Arrange. And then, oh, keep it there. And consolidate to all tabs here. Yeah. All right, so then what's happening is that your other one isn't open. Let me see, I might need to request remote control because you have something going on there. Do you see something that says allow control?
Yes.
Okay, now click on the open system settings. The first time you have give me control, you need to agree to it. Click over here on this little Zoom thing and it'll ask you to put in your password. Way over here. Click on this to turn this slider on. Yeah, and now you have to use your computer password or put your finger on your computer or whatever it is that you do, Touch ID. Put in your password. Cool, and now click on modify settings. Good, okay, so now don't move your mouse anymore. Let me touch your screen. And you've got some weird stuff going on here and how your stuff is being presented. Let me click. There we go. You were in a weird presentation mode. Now you've got your files. There's no way you could have done this stuff without you. Okay, so now you have all these other things open there where you were practicing. You have this one. And here you have the layers that you're working on. I don't know what this one is. This one's the original one. We can not use that one. Okay, so here we go. This one here. Okay, so go over here and select this layer. Go ahead and select this layer. And you have to drag it up to the one that's called Falling Star. So now I'm going to stop moving my mouse so you can do it. Nope. Go back to Photoshop. Here, let's hold on. Don't touch the screen for a second. There's something you're clicking on that's making your computer make like some kind of a, let me just make this bigger. Okay, so now you can't click anywhere else than this. All right, grab the layer here that says that's the legs layer and then just drag it all the way up until you point to the Falling Star one. Once you switch to Falling Star, keep holding. Yep, and now put your mouse down. Oh, cancel because you didn't do that. Cancel. You let go too soon. Once it switches to this one, you need to bring it down. So go back to this one, to the other one and bring it in again. To the layers, this one. Yeah, and grab it again and drag it up again. And this star, when you see the falling star happen, stay there. Don't let go of your mouse. Don't let go of your mouse. Great, now bring it down your mouse into the picture. Good, now you can let go. Cool. Now you can see the comparison of the edges, okay? And then if you want to play around with the select and mask, which you probably didn't get a chance to do, now go over here and select the mask.
Go over where?
Way down here. The mask on your layers.
Oh, okay, select the
Okay,
mask.
click on the mask. Good, and then here go select and mask. Cool. And now we were just playing around with these guys, shift edges, contrast, smooth, just play around to see what you think looks better. And when you're done, say okay. And that will be you having, you know, this edge will be a bit less obvious and stuff like that. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, we're gonna go on break. Bit late, but better late than never. It's 3:20. So my phone keeps reminding me, give these guys a break. So 3:20, let's be back at 3:35 p.m. So be back at 3:35 p.m. All right. See you in a little. All right, come on back. Come on back. Let's continue with our Photoshop magic. Okay. Trying to get to the shared folder. Okay. Here we go. So give me some show of life. If I see you, it's fine, I see you, but if I don't see you, give me a yes or a thumbs up or a something so that I know that you're there. Okay, so those of you who are hiding your videos, tell me if you're here. And although it was break time, so some of you guys took your break, which makes sense. Hopefully others took their time to post some of the work that we've been doing, and I can see that you did. Okay, so yeah, that's great. Thank you for posting. What I don't see anyone having posted the actual refinement tools, which is fine because by the time I told you, you already turned them off. But just so you know, the refinement tools can be opened again and you can keep working on them. All right. So just in case you're interested in doing that, you can do that too. Yes, Dan?
So, just to confirm, when you pick a mask, a layer mask, or
Mhm.
and then do your refinement thing, are you also able to go in again and then do some more with the lasso tools?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay,
good question. Say that I'm gonna turn this bottom
so
one on, right?
if you
So if
if
I
you
go over here and I see that I still have stuff that's missing,
right,
I don't need to fix it only in the selected mask. I can just go over here to this one right there and either choose a tool, like in this case, I'm gonna choose my brush tool, and I can go in here and I can keep working on getting it to be gone, right? And again, I'm just doing this abruptly, but yeah, you can keep working on this mask for as long as you want.
so what's best practice? Like, can't you pick the mask below it and do the refinement on it as well?
What do you mean below it? Yeah, yes. I could
That
have
one
done
right
this-
there.
The first one that was bad, totally. I could have come in here and done the refinement here. That's what I'm saying. You can do it at any point. But the one that I wanted the contrast. So if I had fixed this one,
Okay.
wouldn't have been able to see that one was better than the other.
Oh, gotcha.
That makes sense. So as a learning, but yes, you could have just brought it over, gone, oh, what I did in the other one wasn't enough. And then here you keep refining.
So what's best practice that you usually follow then?
It's so funny when I get that question, it's not that I don't want to answer, it's just that it all depends on the files if I know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe I'm prepping files by cutting things out. And then when I go to the final, and let me just say that this is the final image, I discover that what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little building here. And I thought it was going to go against dark, but when I actually put it here, I discover, oh, it goes against orange. And I go, maybe I need to work a little bit on that mask. So then I open it here, even though I had already done it there. Or maybe I just bring the entire thing that's unmasked. Like I just bring the whole thing here, which in this case would be weird to do because, you know, it would bring all the white stuff and whatever. I can just bring the whole thing in here and just start from here to do the masking. Like if I know I'm going to do it, doesn't matter where you do it, really. That's completely a matter of preference because the mask is going to be as good or as bad before or after. If I'm bringing a bird or a plane, something that's smaller, I can just bring the whole thing in and mask it. Let's go back to the example, and I'm going to hearken again to Moni's example. If I can find it, because now you have more stuff. Here. In this case, it's not only about putting it in a different place, She chose to copy the whole thing and then mask it. That's equivalent to me bringing the whole legs over with the white background and masking it there versus to first cut out the hand and then mask it, which would be equivalent to having brought the already kind of cut out legs and then continue the masking. You know what I'm trying to say? It's
Yeah,
10 of one, what's the saying? Dozen of the other, 12 of one, dozen of the other.
I just
that's
wondered
not
for going backtracking if you, I mean, I guess you have your history, but I just was curious about that.
Yeah. Neither, it really, I'm not trying to prevaricate, it really doesn't matter. Meaning, there is no set thing that's better. For some images, one thing is better, and for other images, the other is better. When you truly need to get rid of the entire thing anyway, because you truly don't want white around them, then sure, get rid of them first, bring it over with the mask, and then fix it to the environment. But other times, if you cut it, you might want to leave some leaves and not others and flowers, but you're bringing in something more generic. You wouldn't know what to cut out here. So just bring the whole thing in here and then cut it out here. You know what I mean? So it really is depending on the moment because the order of the events doesn't alter the result. You know what I mean? Now, had I decided to, instead of doing that, had I decided to actually bring only the legs, and now this is plan C, look at what I just did. I brought the legs already cut out. See how I didn't bring the mask? And I'll tell you how I did that in a minute. If you just bring in something that's already cut out without its mask, which is in a way what's happening here with the pups and the dogs and the whatever, these are already cut out. See, I don't have their masks. Then the problem with that is that if something is missing, like I can still mask this one to fix this because it was wrong. But if I had to add something, say that I was missing a chunk of leg or something, I wouldn't be able to add it because I left it behind in the other place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it probably isn't it better to have more when you're doing some of the refinement too, when you're moving the edges as softening them or smoothing them?
Yeah, so if I try to soften this one now, I see that the mask isn't available for me to do select and mask. So I have to do a whole nother kind of thing, but the tools of select and mask aren't available. The way I see it is, I don't really want all that white stuff. I really don't want to bring all that white stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do in this, here's my, again, it's not the best way to do it. It's just one possible best way to do it is to get as much of the basic stuff gone, the stuff that you know you'll get rid of, but I'd rather leave more of what I don't want than less. So like what I would have done here maybe would have been, I might have just brought, and let me, hold on. I have, by not having a mouse here, I'm kind of, maybe I would have done this. And then I'm gonna get rid of a bit of this and that. Like this might have been a better idea to not have so much extra stuff. And I'm doing this because I don't have I have a finger and I hate working with my finger. So I would have brought the least amount of possible in, right? I'll just copy this in. See, my mouse doesn't, I don't know how people can work in Photoshop with their fingers. This drives me crazy. I would have done something like this, only a little bit better. Copy, right? Go to this one. Let me turn all the options off. Paste. And then mask this here. So I don't have to have all those huge amounts of pixels. And then I have less to mask, but I still have enough to go in and out that I won't miss a piece if it's wrong. Does that make sense? And again, this is just my choice. If I know that I've done a good enough job here and I bring it in and it's going to be dark on dark, then why bother? Just bring the cutout and dark on dark. I won't care. It'll look good. So
Right.
it depends on the image.
And if you don't have that layer mask already, then that's why you created that other copy that was just another layer with the black.
Yeah,
Instead of
this was
going up and
just,
using the tools.
yeah, this was just so that I could do it without having to use because a lot of times just it's a quick job. Like you don't always have to refine your mask very carefully. Literally, if I was going to put this these legs, these cutout legs, if they're gonna go onto, light pink background and say, welcome to come to my birthday party, the first simple remove background would have been more than enough, because I would have never noticed in that light pink background that says, welcome to my, 15th year birthday party. I wouldn't have seen the bad cutout. So boom, no need. Once I want to do it a little bit more by putting this fake background, then I can just do it a bit by hand, and there you go, that's enough. And if I really want to go deep into it, then I just go ahead and mask and tool and all that kind of stuff. So it all depends on where it's going and how much time and effort you want to spend on it. Okay? So there's no right or wrong. There's just degrees of rightness and wrongness. All right?
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Now, that's all. Hopefully you all brought this one in. And if you didn't, then go over here and open it. It's this one called Image 5633. Double click on that to open it. And then I want you guys to this time, if you did bring this one in, get rid of it. Now I want you to bring in just the legs. Okay, we're just going to bring the legs because I'm going to do something different here. So how do you bring just the legs? Which is kind of the last example I gave here where I brought just the legs, but we have so many here that I don't want to keep pushing into it. So how do you bring just the legs? Say that I did the best job I can. This is like amazing. I've figured it out. Now this is already cut out. It has no mask on it. I could just copy paste, but this one still has the mask. So everyone come back to the original one, and we're going to do a selection of the mask. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold the Command or Control key. Let me just put this on so that you can see better what I'm doing. I'm going to hold down the Command key for the Mac, Control key for the PC, and I'm going to simply click on the mask one time. And look what happened. I got a selection of the part that I've kept visible. Okay, so I'm going to do that again. I turn this on just so that when you see here, you can't see the marching mask also well. That's why I turn on the black eyeball so you can see it. But I'm trying to pick up the selection made from the mask. Okay. Now, if you see the marching ants, okay, and I need this step to be done first, so let me clear you. I see two hands up though. So hold on, because I'm going to clear your feedback. So your hands are going to be gone. Lift them up again. But everyone, did you pick up the mask selection? If you did, let me know. And let me show you one more time how to do it. We're back in the original one where we've done the masks. We're going to hold down the Command key or the Control key and keep it held down, and then simply click one time on the mask. And it is giving me the selection marching ants again. Did that work for you? Let me see. Aaron, I don't see an answer from you. Mary Ellen. Okay. So Mary Ellen is saying no. Then I'll help you in a second, Mary Ellen. If you can't, if you're here, I'm going to back up. But now what we need to do is we need to copy the pixels to bring them over. So watch what I'm going to do. If I simply do a Command C and copy right now, and then Command C and paste, did this bring in what I wanted? No, because why? I was selecting the mask. So I brought in white. So I need to select the pixels and now do a copy, Command C, a Control C. And it's only going to select the pixels that are inside of the selection mask. Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to paste. Make sure you want to convert. Go ahead, say okay to this. And here come just the legs. Okay. I have copied only the legs, equivalent to over here where I have my little puppy hanging out and my other stuff hanging out because I already had the selection. So now if you were able to cut and paste and you brought only the legs over, give me a yes. And then I'm going to give now if you need help, say no or raise your hands or whatever you need to do for me to help you. And I think Mariella, now you said yes, it worked now. Okay, cool. Dan, how can I help?
When I did the control and then clicked on the image, not the mask, it just did the border. But if I do the mask, it goes around the legs.
So you mean the selection, this one?
Yeah, the selection is like that when I do it that way, but then if I pick on the other image, the main image, yeah. Are you supposed to just do it while it's got the ant thing going?
Yes, because
Okay, let me
the
try that.
marching ants are the selection. So if I now copy from the pixels, the only thing that will be copied is what's within the marching ants, which happens to be the legs.
Okay, I think that'll work.
Okay, so then when you paste, you left behind all what you didn't want and you brought in only the good stuff. Does that make sense? All right, I see some people who say no, so I'm going to start turning off my share and beginning to help. Let me see, Rachel. Share your screen.
Yes.
I'm making assumptions that what you need to do is share. Okay, so good. So this, what you did is you copied the mask. Okay, so go
Yes.
ahead and do Command Z. It's
Hitting Command Z.
possible that you lost the history because you were already in a different brush. So now you
Okay.
need to go find your history, which I don't see your history path open. It should always be. So go to Windows and History and pull it up. And the best way to have it is not to have it there because then you'll never have it up. The best way is to dock it. But anyway, for now, go ahead and now go back to the layers. Okay. And now, instead of having the mask selected, go over here and select the pixels. Yeah, and you're not seeing them. You turned it off just now for some, over there and you turned it off. So the pixels. Okay, now do the copy because you're copying from the pixels. When you're done with that, go back to the other image. Yeah. And paste, say okay to that. It's okay. Because that layer has two parts, has the actual pixels that have the white and has the mask. And you wanted to copy from the pixels. All right. Okay, Aaron.
Yeah, sorry, my computer froze like right when you were talking about how to select the legs, and so I didn't get that information. It's
On your
fine.
Mac, on your Mac or on a PC?
I'm on a Mac.
All right, so then hold down your Command key and then click one time on the mask.
Okay.
So Command and then a single click on the mask. And then make sure to select your pixels. There's nothing wrong with selecting this side. You're just going to select white because in the end, this is what you're doing, right? You're selecting, if you have that, you're selecting white. So select white and select pixels and then copy and paste them, which is kind of what I did. I had done here when I did it really quickly to show you guys. I had just done that. I just did a quick copy paste of just the masked shape without its mask. And that's what this is.
Okay. Got it. Yep.
All right. Now, in this image, the legs look humongous. In this image, they look, of course, too big for the image, but not as humongous. And it's got to do, again, if we go to bridge, with the fact that when you compare the falling sky, which is 2000 pixels by 1000, and this image, it's 4000 by 3000. Okay, so it's a much bigger amount of pixels in this image than in that one. So it kind of looks less like a gigantic thing the way it looked over here. In fact, the entire thing fits. I go up and down, the entire thing fits in this picture, just barely a little bit of space on top and bottom. Okay. And that nothing has changed, just that I'm putting similar amount of pixels into similar amount of pixels. All right. So now, let me clear your answers. And clear the feedback. All right. I think I got everyone's questions. If someone did not do this, please let me know. What I need to see now is a screenshot of this, where you can see that there's I brought it in, but without a mask. Okay. Like that. I brought it in, but it's already cut out without a mask. And a lot of times for ease worth, once you did a good job of cutting it out and you know that there's nothing good or bad left, you bring this in. And at this point, if there's still any halo or something weird happening that you want to take away, you can still add a mask and keep fixing it. What you can't do now is, if I had bitten off a chunk of her leg, I can't bring it back. Does that make sense? So you can still keep going in, but you can't keep going out, which is why in this case, when I gave you the example of saying that I probably would have done this, it's because now I can still select all the white stuff. I haven't shown you yet how to do it, but I could still go ahead and select all the white stuff that's in here. Long story, I don't want to do it really at this point, but I could have quickly selected all the white stuff off of here, and in this area created a new mask. Okay. And kept working in here. All right. So the order of events really depends on stuff. If I'm just bringing into this image one more little flower to make this look like it's more flowery, a teensy little flower, then yeah, who cares? I'll just mask it there, bring it in here. You won't see it more. But if what I'm bringing in here is going to be a crucial part of this image, then yeah, maybe I want to make sure to still have the mask so that I can work it back and forth, right? Anyway, until I'm done, and I'm sure I still want to have the ability to keep playing with it. All right. So with go ahead and do a save as or whatever on these files so that you have you can keep them as samples. I don't want you to, even if you try to save, this is a JPEG. If you try to save this, it's not going to let you save. Try it. Go ahead and do just Command Save, Command S, which is a save. And what happens is that the computer's like, nope, you can't save as a JPEG again. I'm going to do a save as. And it forces you to have it be a PSD because it's layered. Okay. So let's call this one cut out legs, no mask, for example. Right. And that's what you got out of this one. And then this one, let's save. And again, it's originally a JPEG or fallingstar.jpg. So when I try to save file save or Command S, again, it forces you to save as. So we're going to call this one cut out legs with masks. Okay, just so that I have an idea of what each one of these that I've been playing around with is, so that you can come and keep playing, keep refining the mask, make a better job, make a less good job. I'm going to get rid of that one because that one isn't really something I taught you to do. You're just working on these or these. Okay. And that's what we're going to close those. Now go ahead and close them. Get rid of them. And if you go back to Bridge, now you should have under the C, so they're not going to be next to the falling sky because I called it cut out. You'll have cut out legs, no mask, cut out legs with masks, okay? And not next to these that had a different name. So you'll still have the native, so to say, non-affected falling star and image. All right. I am hearing background noises like animals or something somewhere there. So if anyone knows they have like birds squawking or something behind them, I'm not sure exactly what it is. Go ahead and mute yourself because I can't really tell what it is, but it's enough that it's kind of getting into my consciousness. All right. So we are going to work What I want you to do, hopefully you can do it outside of what's happening here. You can bring in an image that we haven't used yet, like images of yours, because ultimately what I want you to do is to be able to do this in your material, right? So ideally, you could give me a sample as homework of this material. But if not, if you open this folder called Desert Composite, and double click on it, I have some images here that we are welcome to use. Every time I have these sets here, everyone puts together some kind of fantastic kind of, I'm going to click on it and open it up. This is like a desert scene. This is another kind of road in the desert. There's an eagle. There's this person. And use these 4 files or some of your own and come up with some kind of composite. Clearly, if you use these, it's not going to be realistic. But I mean, it could be the woman standing on the side of the road. It's possible, but I don't want to show you others that different people have done because I want you to just get creative. So probably one of these is going to be your base image, and then probably you're going to have to go and cut out some of the other things and bring them into this one, or I don't know. Maybe you put the eagle in this guy. I don't know, but do your best to do some cutouts. And what you'll find is if you try to put this bird cut out, right? And if you try to put this bird into this guy up here, it might be easier if you make them kind of small than if you try to bring it here because it's a different green. And definitely it'll be harder if you come into this white sky because you have a darkish blue edges to these feathers. And when you bring them in here, you'll see this little halo of dark blue that you're going to have to manipulate. When you use these two, you'll see that feathers, you might not notice it right now in these big ones, but down here, you see how these feathers are a little bit transparent? Right now, they look normal. But when you cut this out and you put it in something like this, what you'll discover is that it looks like those are blue feathers instead of white because of that blue that's transparent. And this is when that decontaminate colors really matters because it'll turn that into a bit more neutral. Does that make sense? Because believe it or not, if you cut this out and you just pick that little sample color out, that is actually a light blue, not a gray. It's just that we see it next to that and we assume these feathers are white and we just know that that feather is white. But that little bit, if you were a painter or something, you would have to paint. You couldn't make this white. You'd have to put in some blue in it to have it look like it's matching. And that's what the light is doing here as well. Okay. I'm just trying to zoom in a little bit more to show you that, but see that? That's a lot of blue in that feather. Not only the edge, but just the feather itself. There's a lot of blue in it. So when you cut this out, you're going to have to go and remember that I told you that there was a refine edge tool. Let me go back in here. Let me go over here for a second. And you guys play with this. When you go in the same, and this is the select and mask. Up here, there's a refine edge, refine hair. So you might want to play with the refine hair when you go and cut out the feathers and treat them as if they were hair. And then of course, if you cut this one out, you might need, sorry, not this one, this one, you might need to also consider helping yourself cut the hair out with that. I'll let you guys do that as homework. There's so much I want to teach you. I want you guys to just play around and see if you can do something on your own. If you make files of, if you use files of your own, try to push yourself and bring in something that's a little bit complicated. But if not, just definitely these are complicated enough. I'm more than happy to see variations on a theme of the files that are inside a Desert Composite. And if you want to use some of these and bring something else in, go for it, right? But this is a place where you have some files that I can give you for you to work with and try to do some masking and some compositing as homework to post in the Padlet for next week. And I just want to mention, I hate saying this because then people don't do it. You're not obligated to do this. This is not the kind of class where if you don't do that homework, you will not pass the class. It's just that you will learn a ton more by grabbing these on your own and trying to do something and messing around than when I guide you very politely and cleanly through the steps, okay? So I highly recommend you do it. And if what you have is a disaster, I beg you, screenshot the disaster, post it and go, I tried, I raised my hands in the air and I can't do that, please help. Then I can help you. But if you don't screenshot the mess, then I don't know what went wrong and then you don't learn, okay? So remember, if you might want to harken back to what the top of this thing says, and successes and failures are all welcome. In particular, failures, because then I know that you've been working and what I can help you with. And successes, yay, I'd love to see that you're actually doing stuff with what I've taught you. So both, okay? Screenshot whatever you have and tell me what your intention was and whether it worked or didn't work, or you'd rather try more of this or more of that. Okay? And perfect. So that is what I'm hoping to see for next week. Yes, Dan?
Is there any easy way to change sizing on some of these, like you were saying, versus just
Yeah, we're gonna work into that right now. I just wanted to make, because those legs that we just brought in, we're gonna play with right now. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't like forget, and because then
Okay.
sometimes class is over and class is gonna be over soon and some people leave early and then you get here next week and only 2 or 3 people heard the homework. So yes, here we go. We're gonna head over to this image now. Oh, not this image. Let me cancel out of this. There we go. Let's turn off the legs. We've worked on the legs a lot. Let's turn off the layers. We've worked on that a lot. And now let's open up the puppy. Yay, cute puppy. Okay. Let's select the puppy and let's go to 100%, because remember that we want to see things at 100% to see their quality. So Command 1 or Control 1 gives me 100%. I'm going to go a little bit bigger so you can share it. What do you guys think? Is this guy in focus? Move around, hold down the space bar, look at this guy and tell me if he's in focus. And don't check
Mostly.
based on mine, check
Most-
based on yours.
Mostly.
Okay, I heard someone say mostly. Can you expand upon that answer? Why mostly?
I'm finding his tail in that area to not be so clear.
Yeah, this part is not in focus. This part is really good. I can see every little hair, tack sharp. Okay, so in fact, I think the inner part of the ear is the sharpest part, or maybe this part of the ear. So I think the champion right there is, I mean, you know what's the sharpest part of this whole image? It isn't even the dog. It's here, the texture of the sweatshirt. Look at how you can just kind of see the strands of fiber. I think that's the sharpest part of this image. Okay. I want you to be aware of the quality of this image, because what we're going to do right now might affect the quality of the image. I want you to be aware that this one is, yeah, pretty sharp up there, slowly losing focus over there. It's not that it's good or bad quality. It's just what's up with the focus. Okay. Because we're going to mess with it. And I want you to remember this one. Yes, Dan? Oh, is that from before?
Yeah, that's from before. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. So, here we have, the original. So this puppy will be the original. Okay. Now let's make a copy of this, not with copy and paste, but in this case, what we're going to do, and make sure you don't have anything selected, that all the leg stuff is turned off, just in case, do a little Command or Control D to make sure there's nothing selected. And we're going to start always with the V move tool, because if you're in any other tool, things won't work. So go back to the move tool. Okay. So we're going to copy this puppy. He's already cut out. That's part's easy. All we're going to do is make another layer. So I'm going to do Command or Control and hit the J. And there you go. I've made a copy of the puppy. Okay. Okay, I got 15 minutes. So I might be able to teach you this whole thing, or I might need to continue later next week. But right now we have a copy of the puppy. I want one more. Command J again. Now I have 2 copies of the puppy. They're right on top of each other when you do this, so you can't see them. But if I drag around right now on one or the other, then I do actually have 3 puppies, okay? I have to go select the, so let's call puppy copy. That's the first one. Let's double click and call him just free transform. And on puppy copy 2, puppy copy, that's a hard one to say, puppy copy. Double click on this one and call this one smart object. You don't need to uppercase it. I just seem to have clicked on my caps lock. Okay. So now we have 3 versions. Let's turn off the smart object, turn off the puppy, and let's just see the free transform. So turn off the eyeballs, select free transform, and we're going to start from here. Dan is, once again, sorry, is that the same hand? Should I lower it or is it a new question? I'll
No,
lower it.
it didn't go away before.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's not that it didn't go away. This happens a lot. That's why I say it is a new hand. You lowered it and I lowered it. We both lowered it. So guess what? It's raised again. So 2 lowers equals 1 raise. So my typical sentence is that a new hand? That's what I mean. Did you raise it? Did I raise it? Did we both lower it? Okay. Basically, is it a new question? All right. So does everyone have all the other puppies turned off? And this thing, the one that we're working on is the one that says free transform. If you're good, you don't need to say yes or no. If you need help, wave at me. And if not, we're going to continue from here. All right. Free transform
Where
is,
is transform?
say that again.
Where is free transform?
I made it happen. I copied this 3 times and I double clicked the name of puppy copy and I called it free transform.
Ah.
Okay, so that was me. One said puppy, one said puppy copy, and the other said puppy copy 2 or something like that. I changed those to the words free transform and smart object. And puppy original, you could call him original puppy, good puppy, puppy normal, puppy that stays. All right. So let's head over to free transform. And we're going to go ahead and free transform him, which the shortcut is Command or Control T, but the long one is edit free transform. And there's the Control or Command T. Okay, so you go up to edit free transform, or you do Control or Command T. And now you get these little boxes, the bounding box. That's the one that I had people turn off before when it's there all the time, when you need it only occasionally. That's why I said turn it off. Otherwise, that's what that box was that some people had all the time visible, and you don't need to transform things all the time. Now, transform, there's different versions of transform. I'm gonna go ahead and show you that if you didn't, let me just escape for a second. There's different kinds of transforms. There's scale, rotate, skew, distort, perspective, warp. There's all these different kinds of transforms. When you do tree transform, you can do them all at once. Okay, so that's what the free transform is. It's I can do a whole bunch of stuff to it. So once I click on free transform, then just watch first. I can grab the side and make it smaller. I can grab the top. I can grab the corners, right? So if I want to distort it, like I actually want to mess with its proportions, I have to hold on the shift key. Then I'm making skinny or fat, tall or short. So I'm truly messing with them if I hold down the shift key. This, for people who use Photoshop for many years, is really hard to handle because for bazillions of years, it was the other way. You had to hold on the shift key to be proportional, and they shifted that now, I don't know, like 3 years ago. And so people are still getting accustomed to it. So the other thing you can do with free transform is put your mouse kind of outside of the corner and twirl and mess with it in this way or that way. Big, small, twirl, that kind of thing. In fact, let me bring him back in here. You can even hold down like the command key and grab one end and woo, he has a cute big butt. Hold down. So I have to be holding the command or the control key for PCs, and you make a full distortion. Or the other way around. I can have him have a huge head, right? Big ears. So weird stuff. I mean, that's holding down the command key. If I hold the option key down and hold this middle, no, it's not the option, it's the command key. Here we go. And I hold the middle one, then I can skew it. So I'm really messing up with this dog. Don't worry. Don't worry. But sometimes when you want to make something look like it's in perspective, you might want to skew it a bit and hold down the command key, and then it'll look like you're looking at it from a different position. So there's a reason to this madness. And I'm just kind of showing you the free transform lets you do a ton of stuff. Now, these changes won't happen officially until I either click on this checkbox up here to say, yep, I like the changes, or I hit the return or enter key. That also says, yep, I like the changes. The third way would be to double click in here, and that basically says, yep, I like the changes. So let's do one of those. I'm going to click on this check mark. I always use the return or enter key myself, but I can click on that. And basically, I have committed that transformation. Now, I don't want that to stay. I was just showing you, but I want us to do Command or Control Z to bring them back to normal. So that was just showing you what free transform does, or its capabilities or possibilities. Now, I'm going to teach you the good and the bad of free transform. So all that was good. Yay. Woohoo. That was awesome. Like, how fun. You want to make a leaf appear like it's twirling down a tree, and you have one leaf that you cut and you just make it and put in different positions, and suddenly, boom, you have a lot of different leaves and different sizes, positions, and warps. That looks really good. Now, let's see what's the problem with this. There's a certain amount of pixels, bridge, back to where this file is here. This image here, we remember, had about 4,000 pixels top to bottom in height. If I go back to Photoshop and I go to Command 0, that means that this guy is probably, if this is 4,000, he's not exactly half. He's probably 1,800 pixels-ish tall. I don't know. Doesn't matter. That's about how big it is. If I make him bigger, let me do Command or Control T again, and I make him bigger to make him fill the space, right? There we go. I make him bigger. I can kind of have to cut off his butt a little bit to make him fill the space. If I make him bigger, I'll just a little, I hit return, cancel, or, oh, and down here, that's the fourth way. You can just say done on this little guy, say done. Technically, I went almost double, right, from where he was. I'm going to go and do Command 1. And now look at the quality. In the sharpest part that I pointed out was the hairs, the whiskers, this texture. I went almost double. And if I turn on the original puppy, right, let me bring the original puppy up here so we can compare. At 100%, let me go to 200%. So here's my original puppy is back here, the small one. And here's the new one. Okay. And I'm going to the sharpest part of the original puppy and the sharpest part of the new puppy. Does it look as good, better, worse? Here's the muzzle. And this, in the original one, here's the muzzle of the big one. What do you think? Does it look just as good?
No.
Yeah, I would say no. Okay, I know that telling me that the class is almost over. That's my alarm, sorry. I would agree. It's not horrible. Turn this off. It's not horrible. Look at all the little hairs on his face. If I look at this one, there's the little hairs, but can you see how it's beginning to not look so good? Now, I went about double the size, okay? I went about double the size. For eons, the golden rule was never, ever, ever upscale. What we just did is an upscaling, upsize. Because in order to make this puppy be that big, Photoshop had to go, okay, I have a white pixel over here and we're going bigger. Let me add more white pixels over there. I have a yellow one over there. Let me add more yellow ones. And for better or for worse, it invented, it's called interpolating, and it interpolated pixels to make it bigger, but it's basically the computer guessing. And it did a pretty good job. In the past, you couldn't go more than like a little bit bigger and it already started looking bad. Now it takes, I had to go double before it started looking bad. So the golden rule of never go bigger, I would say, sure, you can still go a little bit bigger and know that you're compromising the quality, but if it's a minor part of the photo, that's fine. If this is the part of the photo, definitely don't upscale. But if this is a minor part of the photo, then sure, go for it. Go ahead and do that. Now, I'm going to turn off this bottom one. Now, let's grab this one again, the big old, the one that's double the size. Let's free transform again, Command T. And this time, let's make them really, really, really tiny, like really tiny. Really, really tiny. So I'm going like, woof. I can say done over here. I can hit return. I can go to the check mark. There's all these ways to be done. Okay. And if you go to Command 1 or plus and I go and zoom over there, he looks really nice, tack sharp, tiny, teensy weensy little dog, doesn't he? Downsampling, all Photoshop would do is get rid of pixels here and there. Photoshop does that really well. That little teensy weensy dog looks gorgeous, right? He looks tack sharp. Nothing has changed. The thing is, it's so small, it's hard. If we go much bigger to see him big, we're going above 600, then yeah, it begins to look fuzzy because we're going beyond 100%. But yeah, trust me, downsampling, awesome. Do that. You're fine. Now, go ahead and Command 0 again. And now let's free transform this little guy again. And let's make him go and become about the same size as the original was, which was about yay big. I'm not even going way too big, just about, let's guess that this is about the size. It was about half the size of the original one, half of the page. And once again, hit return or say done. Now let's go into 100% and look at the quality. And now this is the quality of the original. And this is the one that I made big, then small, then big again. Right? So a lot of times people don't look at things at 100%. And did you notice that when he was down there, he looked fine? And if you look at things from afar, they look fine. So people go and make them bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. They're like, ooh, this is looking great. They're filling their screen. It's looking great. I mean, truly, at 100, at filling my screen, he still looks great. He looks sharp. I can't tell how much he has degraded with my free transform until I go to Command 1. And then I go, oh, darn it. I really messed this up. You see that? In the past, I mean, you could only move it a little bit off and on and it would look horrible. Now I basically had to make him really tiny, really big. If I had made it as big as the screen again, it would be even worse. So, but as you can see, it's a very big difference. So free transform is safe for twirling him, maybe distorting him, the stuff that we did first, and definitely going smaller, 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 a little bit smaller, a ton smaller, it all works. The problem is going up. And definitely, if you did go smaller and you decide you want them bigger, don't pull it up again. Start with the original one and make that one go a little bit bigger and it'll only distort a bit. But if you made one bigger, then smaller, then bigger. Each transformation, the computer is corrupting the image because it's adding or taking away pixels back and forth until finally you get this, okay? Which is not a good solution. So free transform, if you're gonna do it, start always from the original, make one transformation, and if you need another one, go back to the original, copy it again and make another transformation, because otherwise each time you do that, you're messing it up. Does that make sense? Okay, we've run out of time. I will show you Smart Object next week, but this is a time to do a good old screenshot and show me how this is back and forth on the transformation. And by the way, had I kept going and had I done made this guy really big, sorry, way too big, and made him really big again, and gone up to him and command one, he's even worse. You know, we're getting to the point that he, you know, if you keep going really big up and down, you really mess it up, okay? But just going down and up, we saw that it, and yet even this one that truly is horrible, look at how bad quality it is. You even have these lines. If I go to command 0 and see the whole screen, he still looks good. That's why it's so important to remember to look at things in 100%, because that still looks pretty good. And it's truly destroyed. If I go and look it up close, it's truly destroyed. All right, save this file with all of the stuff that we've been doing and messing it around with. Okay. And we're going to come back and continue from here. This one is a layered file. So when you save, it doesn't make you make a new one. It just saves. Okay. Any questions? I think here and there I'd seen some hands up, but maybe in my talking it got resolved. All right. So that's it. Post your free transforms, post your legs, post anything else, and then do your best at masking something else, do your homework. I'll see you guys in 1 week. Au revoir. See you guys next week.
A biento.
All right. A biento.